Last time, on Asmiliath adventures, we pick up as our sour heroes gently roll towards the Pale Legion fort at the base of Bronshard's dizzying spiral. Few words are exchanged as the heavily armored dwarves before them grant the party access into the fort and make arrangements for them to bunk for the night. Dealing with the bitter leftovers of their exit from the dwarven capital, the party members mostly keep to themselves while in wait for what comes next. That evening they meet a stern dwarven woman who is to be their guide through the treacherous halls of the underground highways. Introducing herself as Sira, she quickly prepares the party for what lay ahead, and takes stock of their collected belongings. Disclosing 3 separate paths the party might take, there is a brief discussion as to the most pressing concerns of the party. Deciding that dying is rather low on the list, the Golden Hearts agree to take the seemingly easiest route through the Corn Tome's heel in the west. Departing the safety of the Legion's fort the next morning, the worn and well-traveled wagon of the Golden Hearts squeaks into the vast dwarven halls, passing by long-forgotten craftsmanship as once glorious statues and intricate carvings lay scattered across the dank stone. Spending a day traveling far beneath the surface of Asmiliath, the party quickly get acquainted with the alien setting of the highways. Ever-burning green earth flame lights their way as a distant symphony of scraping, crying, and shuffling drift across their ears, leaving the unsettling feeling that any corner they turn might reveal some unearthed horrors. Eventually, seeing this prophecy fulfilled, their first major roadblock makes itself known to the party. A large mound of carrion crawlers has descended upon a fallen beast, intent on using the clean-picked bones as a nest for their young. Having to either eliminate or evict these beasts, the party devise a plan to vaporize them into a vile mist. Wielding one of the barrels that Sparky's ooze has been collected in, Thor takes the lead down the hallway. His intent to cast the flammable liquid into the roadblock is seen through, as the barrel lands firmly between 2 of the shifting creatures, but the desired outcome fizzles in front of the party's eyes, as barely any of the flaming liquid finds its way onto the massive grubs. Now confronted with 4 enraged creatures, our heroes face their problems the only way they know how, by bearing down steel upon them. The battle is brief as the party is assisted by their dwarven guide, leaving the once fearsome worms in a pile of bile amongst the cobblestone. It is July 25th as we return to our heroes, their bodies covered in guts of their enemies, the long hallway that surrounds them filled with the stench of rotting flesh as the last monster falls in an attempt to protect its many offspring. We return as the various members of the party realize the threat is now gone. Sira, their Legion guide, moving quickly to grab the discarded barrel of ooze while eyeing the nest of carrion crawlers. So, you were all kind of gathered at that small corner, like kind of bridged area that you had your combat on. All the carcasses of the carrion crawlers kind of left in this pile of ichor, more or less, as Sira, her metal kind of clanking around as she's also covered in the bile of her enemies, is reaching down for the remnants of that barrel that had been tossed, kind of with the intent to use it to splash over the carcass that has all those kind of semi-transparent white sacks that hold the grubs that will potentially grow into the beast that you just slayed. So, that is where you all pick up, and that is currently what is happening.
So, Sira, what is the going rate for clearing hallways and vermin?
Halfbeard, we have discussed that anything that we clear down here is simply just part of the travel. The Legion does not reimburse you for any sort of conflict that you may come across.
Ever?
Well, seeing as that's why they pay me, it'd be rather foolish to pay you as well.
You only did 1/4 of the work.
Well, last time I counted, I'm 1/5 of the party, so...
Yes, but Jarrett really didn't do much. So, in any case, it's a joke, Jarek. Thor, what were you thinking?
What do you mean, what was I thinking? I was thinking big worm, kill big worm, protect Sparky because plan failed.
But yes, there were 4 of them.
Yeah. There have been 20 goblins around. We still managed to kill them, there's 4 people, kill them, So I figure low number, easy kills.
One day you're going to get yourself in a position that I can't heal you.
I've already been there, Rolly. We still got out of it.
So as you two are discussing, Sierra has taken the barrel, and it's more or less beginning to fall apart, but it's structurally sound enough that she can start getting some of the ooze of Sparky over the various sacks in the bone and the carcass that's left over. She begins just kind of like drizzling it around, trying to get good coverage on it, clearly with the intent to light it up and kind of burn it out of the way, since it is still taking up a good good section of the road that the cart would have to move through. While she's doing this, Adam is beginning to move forward with the wagon. Terry's sitting next to him. Sparky comes out from behind the statue he was hiding, his whole body alit with flame, kind of casting the small area around him in a more natural light, kind of overpowering the green flame that, fills the entirety of the Dwarven Highway. He's just kind of walking back towards the wagon, not a care in the world. But that's all beginning to start happening as everyone is discussing.
Are there any, other bodies around, or is it just... Because, this is blocking a route, right? So I imagine we're not the first people to come across this, or are we the first?
Oh, so what you were told by Sira is that the last people to come through this path lost the animal when traveling, and the carrion crawlers have been, So you are the first one to really come on top of this.
Okay.
I think Jarek would quickly search around the donkey, see if anything maybe had been left. Just kind of sneak through all of you.
Okay. Just a quick reminder to all of you that you all are covered in basically digested rotten flesh, to some degree. At least all of you got a little bit on you. And it certainly doesn't smell great. And Jarek, that would be what you would be digging through, since all of the crawlers that you killed kind of fell on top of the carcass and left their innards kind of there. So that's what you would be kind of shifting through for searching.
Jarek, do your thing.
I don't think I have. Kind of search around. Yeah, I don't think I have a way to get over those bodies.
Sierra just kind of keeps splashing the bucket a little bit, looks over, goes, we'll just light it up, and it shall burn itself out, but we should be rather quick about our departure. Smoke usually draws some of the more intelligent life down here.
Understandable.
Let's just get going. It'll be kind of stumbly.
Jarek, can you do your little whatever it is and magic the smell off of me?
And pull out his lute and kind of give it some flicks, start blasting the grime off.
Mm-hmm. So, as you begin to kind of clean, I'm assuming the majority of the party just kind of going around, doing your thing. Sierra going about her business, Adam finally coming up behind you all. About 5 or 10 minutes go by. The kind of eerie sounds of the hull just kind of drifting around, echoing from a distant area, as, work kind of continues. Eventually, after getting the majority of the bucket kind of put out, Sierra tosses it on the pile, looks over at Sparky, who hasn't been let back in the wagon via Adam's instruction at this point. It's kind of still just stood about 10 or 15 feet away, still blazing away, just having the time of his life. The little wood shard that he wields has kind of been burnt and cindered to look blackened at this point, but he still has it in his clutches. Sierra kind of gestures to him. You here? And that same broken comment that she uses to address Jarek. Sparky kind of looking around at you all, kind of looking for approval, more or less, until he follows instructions.
Go ahead, Sparky. Light it up.
You see him like look from you, Thor, to the pile of his ooze, and the light kind of surrounding his eyes almost make his own like giant, oversized, black, beady eyes light up with this like orange intensity. He's just like, and begins just like stepping closer to it. Sierra very quickly making her departure before he touches down onto the little pile of ooze, and you see it quickly spread over the sacks. You begin to hear that sound of like the water inside of wood kind of boiling and then popping. This like very high-pitched, like continuous frequency slowly building and building and building. And you see one of the sacks pop open, one of the grubs kind of like falling into the fire and wiggling around in pain, kind of screaming ever so slightly as this all begins to happen like a popcorn bag. The various sacks exploding, some of the ooze hitting the flames and like letting off a bit of disgusting steam as the carcass that had been turned into a nest begins to burn. Sierra kind of watching over it with a pretty amused smirk on her face.
Just a quick gag reflex out of Jarek at the raw side of that.
How long is this going to take?
You don't like barbecues, Jarek.
I prefer red meat.
There's some red meat on the donkey there.
Thank you, Rowie. Thank you.
Well, while the fire is kind of continuing to consume the roadblock in front of you, Sierra kind of walks over to Valoran, wherever you've positioned yourself, kind of standing next to you, looking up at you, looking down at the pile, looking back up. You handle yourself quite efficiently in combat. I was rather impressed.
He's sort of half-heartedly cleaning himself up and wiping the gunk off the glaive. And he smiles down at her and says, "Thank you, I appreciate that. You are the most capable dwarf that I have met."
My head would snap over at that.
You see Sierra kind of like, for the first time since meeting, like genuinely a bit of a smile kind of working across her lips, looking over at Rolly, looking back at Valoran. Well, I must say that I pinned you for a different individual. You had this very calm demeanor, and then in the heat of battle, you were quite aggressive.
It brings back fond memories.
Always love a stout warrior with a good upbringing.
And same to you.
She then proceeds to kind of watch the fire, just like letting things kind of happen around her. More or less, it'll probably take like 5 minutes or so for the majority of the bone to kind of be taken away. I mean, the structural integrity of the carcass has kind of already been compromised by like the sacks and out they're like popping and exploding. It's very quickly becoming a smaller and smaller flame, or I guess a smaller pile. Basically, you guys are trying to get to the point where the wagon can go over it without any difficulty. But if there's any like last minute conversations, this would kind of be the time.
Rolly, Valorant just called you useless.
It wasn't precisely useless. He just said that lady was more capable than me, and she very well may be with a blade.
How does this make you feel? Let's talk about this.
Sierra interjects a little bit, kind of looking between you two. Are you speaking Dwarven or Common, actually? Let me ask that real quick.
That's up to... That would have been up to Thor.
Common, probably.
Okay. So she would not interject then.
Yeah, because he'd want JD to hear more than what anyone else.
Thor, this isn't the time for talking about feelings. Let's get the hell out of here.
We have to wait for the fire. This is the perfect time. We are by a fire, We all smell really bad. We're on equal playing fields. It's the perfect time to just talk our feelings out.
So have you been drinking? When did you? Is the poison hitting you? What?
I'll like look down at his leg where he got stung. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean that happened. It looks kind of bad actually.
How is Thor looking?
It's hard to tell with Thor since he doesn't really show pain or damage all that often. And especially with Jarek's limited medical knowledge, there's not really a way for you to discern what's going on. He has a lot of like red welts across his back where the tentacles have kind of like reached and grabbed. Thor, you would definitely still be feeling the effects of the poison, still suffering from the disadvantage on ability checks and whatnot. It's not doing any damage to you, but it kind of just makes your head a little spinny, make your arms and muscles kind of fatigued a little bit, almost just kind of feeling drained versus like ill.
Yeah. I still have my sword out and I'm just kind of leaning on it.
So
it's fine, JD. I'm doing great. I feel good. We just killed like 4 of these giant things. It smells a little weird. But Carl's still here. And he doesn't look that bad. So I think we're doing alright. And he's like a portion of me, so like we're doing fine. If anything, you still have Carl. If I die. Is that how that works?
I will keep him fondly.
No, you can't have Carl. He'll die with me.
No. Jared would call over to Sparky. Sparky, come here. And go ahead and use Prestidigitate to put out some of the flames until he was finally down. Just as he's doing that, blowing it off. Thor, you need to sit down, buddy.
Wait, whoa, I want to try something. Hold on. Carl, hold on. Touch the fire.
So, as Thor, you are focused on trying to get Carl down to the fire. Rolly and Valorant, as you're kind of, disengaged with the conversation, Sierra, pointed out that the smoke will potentially attract unwanted visitors. You watch the smoke kind of trailing up into the higher parts of the ceiling, the roofs here being about 60 to 80 feet tall. So there's still left to be like rough, uncut stone from the construction process. So it varies in height. And you're watching the smoke reach up the ceiling, kind of trailing away, finding the small cracks and tunnels that connect into the hallway, and like slowly dispersing through them. And Valorant, as you are looking up into the corner, kind of this small, secluded area right in the corner where the hallway turns, you see this black mass. It appears to be shadowy and spectral, not quite forming a solid shape, almost kind of like cloud-like in appearance, with random disjointed limbs kind of coming off, clutching the wall, almost in like a spider-like fashion, but without any sort of like symmetrical pattern, just a random scattering of limbs. And you see these 2 white, thin eyes like filling the majority of the front of whatever this being is, and the eyes connect with you as the rest of you feel this small, cold sensation building at the base of your stomach and racing up your spine. Your heartbeat beginning to quicken faster and faster, and as your blood begins to pumping and this like strange sense kind of tugs at the back of your mind, you hear a metal shimmering, almost as someone's kind of like gently tapping on like a cymbal of a drum. And looking over at the source of the noise, you see Sierra wears this coin, an amulet around her neck that kind of rests against the front of her plate mail. And it's beginning to shake ever so slightly against the metal, before a loud, distinct, gong-like metal sound rings from it, and you see Sierra's eyes snap wide open, and looking down at the pendant, and you see her frame kind of freeze in place as she looks over between you two, and then her eyes glance up to the corner. What is everybody doing at this moment? A quick reaction to this.
I saw it. I'm gonna fire off a sacred flame at it.
Okay. Thor, Jarek, what are you doing?
Thor is still in and out, but bewildered by what just happened with Dwarf Lady, so he's just kind of looking at her.
Okay. Jared.
Aghast.
He would stop playing and look over at Sarah and try and maybe follow her gaze.
And Valerie, doing anything specific?
I think you say I made eye contact with this thing?
Yes.
So I think I would call out its general direction. Just say, eyes up, 4 o'clock high, or how, whatever the direction is. And then try to move to get as much of the party within my sphere of influence as I can get.
Okay, what is the range of that?
10-foot radius.
I'll give you 2. You can get 2 of the party members in this sphere you can pick, including Sierra.
Sierra and Rolly.
Okay. Explain to me real quick again what that does.
They get a +5 bonus to saves.
Okay. Okay. So, Valorant, as you call out and everyone's attention, quickly either shoots to Sierra and then the corner itself, you all distinctly see various scenes presented before you. Jarek, as you dart your eyes up to the corner where all the attention is being drawn, you see a humanoid figure hanging on a rope, hung by its neck, facing away from you. A kind of elegant-looking clothing draped around it, and as you look, you quickly realize it's the clothing of Mayor Hillthorn, the mayor that you murdered not too long ago. And you feel like a quick sense of dread overtake you as the humanoid figure begins to slightly turn and rotate, revealing the front side. And as it comes fully into view, you realize the face is your own, as you are hung by the neck in the corner. And you are immediately filled with this sense of terror. The flight reaction kicking in immediately, as the only thought to run through your mind is to just run. So, that's what you see, Jarek. Thor, as you find your way to either Sierra or the corner, your eyes drifting up there, for a second you don't see what everyone is talking about. There's nothing there. It's just a corner of a room. And then you see a large shape descending from the corner, falling with an immense speed before you hear a sick crunching noise. And you follow the trail of movement down to where the object fell, and you see that it is your bear, Buffy, having cast against the stonework of the pit below you, bouncing from one to the other, its limbs distorted, the face broken and bleeding, the tongue hanging out from the side. Buffy lays dead in the corner, and an immense amount of loss suddenly takes you before fear overtakes you, and you too feel the desire to just flee the scene, to run, to get away from one of the things you're connected to being ripped from you in this world. Rolly, as you look up into the corner, your eyes, it takes a second for you to quite realize what you see. It appears to be this oddly shaped piece of stone with small bits of metal sticking through it. And you're staring closer and closer, trying to figure out, using some of your dwarven intelligence or history with stone, to try and figure out exactly what this is. And you see the stonework shift ever so slightly, the actual stone moving just a bit, as it reveals that a dwarven shape has been consumed by stone. And as it slips farther and farther, appearing to almost grow from the ceiling, you see your face slowly being revealed, with stone crystals growing from your mouth, your expression blank and lifeless, as you've been consumed by some sort of stonework. This scene quickly filling you with dread and the sense to flee, to run, to get away from whatever this potential outcome might be. Valoran and Sierra are the only ones to genuinely see the creature, and as she locks eyes with it, you hear her genuinely let out a gasp of surprise, of terror is probably the best word to use for her as well, as she quickly looks over at the party, realizing what's going on, and she screams, Shadow Terra! And she looks over at Jarek, who, at this point, you are seeing the image described to you, and she starts grabbing your shoulder and shaking you. She's like, the light! The light! The big light!
Jarek will whip his backpack around, pull out the orb, and
give me a wisdom saving throw. As you go to reach, the quick shaking of your physical form kind of bringing you to the scene for just a moment. Your hand goes back, but your eyes quickly snap back to the scene, that sense of dread filling you to the point where your fingers begin to shake and the bag kind of slips from your grip, falling back behind you as your attention is brought back to the scene and not able to being wrenched free as Sierra continues to keep shaking your shoulder.
I can't. It's...
So, Sierra begins darting around. Yeah, you're shaking? Is that what you said? Yeah. No, you're good. Sierra begins darting her eyes around, looking from one party member to the next, and seeing that Jarek is incapable, she starts grabbing the bag from you, her hands furiously digging, and as she looks around, seeing that Valorant is the only one without a horrific expression on his face, she points to you, Valorant, and goes, "We have to leave! We have to go! Get them! Get them! We have to go!"
So without, we don't need to talk about it. I am going to give a sharp whistle to get Belgrease moving, and I think the first thing I'll do is try to just put Jarek on Belgrease. I'm going to take her word for it.
Okay.
And see if I can just throw him over Belgrease
Go ahead.
Like my bounty.
Yeah, give me a strength check on that one. Jarek's a pretty hefty lad.
Can I help by at least not resisting?
Not really. You're almost petrified with fear. I say you get him on there. Maybe not the most secure, but you definitely get the majority of his form on there, especially Belgrease being so high up off the ground, so.
How is she, does she have our light ball?
She is digging for it right now. That is her current
She's still
activity.
digging for it? Okay.
Yeah.
How far away is this shadow thing?
So roughly kind of eyeballing it, it's far away from you and up in the ceiling. The ceiling probably being about 60 feet higher than you at that point. So it's maybe 60, 70, 80 feet away from you.
How much more time do I have after dealing with Jarek?
I'll probably count that. We're doing a rough little play-by-play here. Yeah, we'll get back to you in a second. So as you are getting Jarek up onto the horse, Belgrease kind of looking a little bit confused. If you take the time to glance back, you see Adam's vision is also drawn to the corner, his mouth kind of agape a little bit. But you see Terry behind him, but not behind, beside him, is quickly kind of shoving him out of the way and grabbing the reins. A slight amount of panic on Terry's face, but more a look of determination as he grabs the reins of the wagon and begins starting to whip them. Currently, without anyone else being moved, the wagon threatens to kind of plow into Thor and Rolly, who are still kind of stood in the corner, staring up at whatever scene that they see before them. But as this is all going on, you hear this, whispering noise in the back of your mind, the whole party. It's this rough-cut, strange alien tongue that's almost... It's almost like it gives off a taste. This swirling black noise that you can't quite come to any sort of, understanding for the majority of you. But Jarek, you are the only one. As you feel your body being thrown, you're up. Yes.
No, I'm listening.
Oh, okay, you're good.
Infernal?
Yeah. So as your body's being tossed on the horse and you feel it, but your body still can't come to terms with what's going on. You hear these words gently kind of whispering in the back of your mind. It goes, you know, and you will fall. I got you now, and you cannot get away. And that same sort of, message varying words kind of keeps being repeated over and over again in your mind as you are being put onto the horse. As this is all going on, you hear this very sharp, clattering, scraping noise as the shadowy mass in the corner, for I guess Valoran's the only one who's able to see the actual movement, you see it dart with incredible speed, almost faster than anything else you'd seen move in the realm that you live. It darts into the corner, kind of scampering around the stonework, up and down the various heights that it's traveling, and then through a small crack in the wall, and then disappears. The kind of whispering noise still going on in the background. Finally, Sierra pulls the ball out. Is it Shalak? What's the power word, Jared? Do you know off the top of your head?
Shamak.
Shamak, okay. She pulls the glass sphere out of the bag, and she holds it up, looking around, and then staring down at it, kind of like thinking, and Shamak! And holds it up high, the bright light quickly filling the corner. It's 60-foot bright daylight and then 60-foot dim, casting this alien world in bright light for the first time, almost giving the majority of you some sense of relief, but not curing you of your ailment. And as she throws it out, she looks over at Valor and she's like, get the rest, we have to go! And beginning to start grabbing Rolly and dragging him towards the wagon as Terry begins basically whipping the wagon to start moving over the small fire.
So I'm gonna trust Belgrease can he can do a pretty good job in my opinion of keeping Jarek on him. I'm going to rush over to Thor and smack the absolute taste out of his mouth.
So Rolly and Thor, give me a wisdom saving throw real quick. I asked Jarek to do one as well.
Yeah, I mean, does it... Right now, am I paralyzed? Like, I can't talk? I'm so scared?
We're going to figure that out.
Oh, I got you.
Ooh, Jesus. Come on, Rob.
Thor's is a 10, at least.
Wait, you chose me for your ring?
Well, I did now. I'm right in front of you, smacking your frickin' face.
Yeah, I guess you would be... Because Rolly and Thor are right next to each other in a similar position, so they would both get +5 to the save?
Yeah.
So, that'd be a 19 and a 10. Okay. So, Rob, as you're hearing all the commotion going on around you, your eyes still locked on your own face, lifeless in the corner, you feel a quick wash come over you, almost feeling like a giant weight has been lifted off your shoulder as you're lurched back into the scene, hearing the different barking coming from Valorant and Sierra and the various noises coming around you. Thor, you are still locked in terror. Jarek, you are hunched over the back of Belgrease, the jostling almost kind of adding to the commotion as your mind is being like thrown around, fear kind of gripping every aspect that it can inside of it. But yeah, so now we have Rolly is back to normal, coming out of this terrified state. Valoran's normal, Sierra's normal. Thor and Jarek, you are still suffering from terror.
Can I, any chance I can, am I next to Thor?
Yeah, so you are, as you come to and glance around, you see Valoran just backhanding the shit out of Thor. You see his vision kind of like snapping to the side before his face kind of locks back into the corner, and then Valoran kind of standing in front of him.
Can I pick him up?
How much do you weigh, Thor? Do you know that?
He's pretty heavy. He's like 700 pounds.
There's no way you're 700 pounds.
I don't know. I don't know how much he weighs.
It'd be like 200 and change. Like, maybe 300.
280 to 340. So we'll just go with 265.
It would definitely be a check to do it. Valorant is standing right there, so.
Do I understand that this is terror or just like
do a quick insight check?
Confusion?
Yeah. Because none of you would know. Yeah, so you can easily discern by just like how they're acting and the looks on their faces, what's happening to them. Maybe you don't know exactly what they're like seeing, but you understand they're kind of locked in place by fear.
Okay.
300 pounds.
So I'm going to. I put my hand on the back of Thor's head. This is after smacking him as hard as I can in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Put my hand on the back of his head, and I bring his forehead to my forehead, and just say, "It's Time to leave, big man. And there's a soft glow of golden light between our eyes as I cast Heroism on us both with a 2nd level slot, and we are both immune to fear.
For how long?
Up to a minute.
Okay. So, Thor, as your mind is still wrapped in fear, which is a very, I don't know, not a feeling that you have often, being Thor, you then feel a slight touch on the back of your neck. Your first instinct would be like to pull away, to fight it, to throw off whatever's touching you. And then you feel your face touching something, and then this warm glow kind of filling you, kind of traveling from your face down to your chest, calming your heart rate, bringing you down to a more functional level. As your vision comes to, you see Valorant intently staring into your eyes as you were brought back, kind of snapped out of your own head.
What the? But Buffy is dead? What?
It's not real. We're leaving.
Oh, okay. Hold on. And I'll stand up with my sword.
Running away, I would yell out to him, what is that thing?
So, Sierra, who is like hauling ass to the wagon, making sure that everyone else is either getting on or on board or has some sort of escape, just looks over at Rolly. Again, she's had a pretty stoic face up to this point, facing any sort of question or any sort of problem with a very much just like can-do attitude. You see genuine fear in her face as she looks over. She goes, "That is death, Halfbeard. We have to go."
As I'm running, I'm not arguing with you.
So she's going to get in the back of the wagon. I don't know which of you have horses or going to get in the wagon or anything of that nature. But is everyone finding some sort of mount? Jericho, to give me another wisdom saving throw real quick.
If I've got Thor moving, then I can mount up with Belgrease, and Jarek will just be on his belly behind me.
I think it's very thematic that Jarek is locked in fear this entire time.
Can I be repeating what I heard?
Sure, like mumbling it under your breath.
Yeah.
You'd probably just be saying it in, I guess, Infernal, though. Because you probably wouldn't be actively translating it into Common. So, but as everyone mounts up, the pile of bone that has been kind of burning this whole time, getting to a smoldering level, the wagon quickly trotting over it, Adam still full of terror, Sarah and Terry and whoever else is in the wagon, everyone else mounted up. You begin to quickly move around the corner where the combat took place and hauling ass down the hallway. As you do so, Sierra is holding the orb at the back of the wagon, holding it kind of like out and away to cast the most amount of light kind of behind you. And Valorant, or I guess anybody at this point, who look back to see if anything is pursuing you. The rectangular hallway, or I guess the square hallway, kind of like drifting away from you as you ride. You see this shadowy black shape kind of like shoot up the wall and shoot across and back down, and then jumping from one wall to the next, and quickly kind of like darting, chasing you, like leaping from one side to the other, white gleaming eyes occasionally being caught by the light. And as you see it occasionally try and get closer and closer, it reaches the edge of what the bright light of the orb kind of casts, and it's like shadowy figure begins to kind of like disperse, and you see it like and then like jump away and like begin the process of trying to chase you. But every time it hits that border, it kind of stops. And that is currently the situation taking place, as the wagon is just barreling down the road, the kind of like slightly unkept road work causing it to like jostle, the contents of the wagon kind of shaking back and forth as the whole party is quickly moving down the road at this point.
I want to try something else. So I'm kind of riding like with an arm behind me, trying to keep Jarek steadied. I want to look over my shoulder at him long enough to command him to awaken.
Huh. How do I want to do this? Because he's not going to contest the attempt, I'm imagining. The target must succeed on saying the follow the command.
This may fizzle utterly, but
Let me 1 second. Let me just make sure, because I want to see if it. I will give you advantage on a wisdom saving throw with it. Not snapping you out of it just by the command itself, but certainly assisting in attempting to break out of it. So go ahead and give me another wisdom saving throw with advantage. Yep.
now he's got +5.
Yep. So, Valorant, as you reach back and try and impart a sense of, I don't know, stoutwardness, whatever the fucking word I'm looking for, into Jarek, you just continue. Yes, thank you. You continually hear him mumbling over and over again, his eyes kind of like quickly darting from one side to the next, like just enraptured in fear, which, you know, to Jarek is a pretty commonplace event, but this is a different level than you've ever seen him in.
Would it give me enough strength to yell it out? At least just directly at Valoran?
Odds or evens, sir?
Go, evens.
What are you trying to yell?
I think as he gives me the command and we at least make eye contact, Jarek could like grab his cloak in the back of his armor and just kind of insistently just but a little bit louder, so it's like directed and intentional at him.
So almost like hearing an echo, Valorant, you would hear the whispering in the back of your mind that you can't quite understand, and then like a small delay, you hear it being yelled at you by Jarek as he grabs onto you and stares you down, repeating the words. So, everyone quickly give me an idea of where you're at. I guess Valorant and Jarek, I know you're on Belgrease. Rolly and Thor, where are you right now?
I had hopped onto my horse and was I'm as close to Syrah as I could have gotten, I guess.
So you're riding kind of near the back of the wagon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Since Rolly restole my horse, I will hop into the back of the cart.
Okay.
And since I'm also feeling woozy and I don't feel like riding something and falling off.
Okay. So as you guys continue jostling down the road, your eyes watching this shadowy figure kind of darting over and over again, eventually it like gets as close as it can, reaching the limit before the light kind of like begins to make it, I don't know, unform, disappear. That's the word I'm looking for. You see what looks like an extension of itself, a long black spectral tendril shoot from its body at an incredible pace, a long giant column of shadow, as what appears to be kind of like grotesque pointed hand latches onto the orb in Syrah's grip, and you see her look down in terror and then look at the hand, and then it begins to yank at her. I'm gonna go ahead and give her a... Okay. Ooh, okay. So the hand grabs the orb, kind of like almost doubling over Syrah's own hands, and you see her try to yank it back to her chest, but the shadowy hand kind of lurching her forward, and she then like basically covers the orb with her body, refusing to let go as the hand kind of almost forces her hands to stay. And as this is going on, Thor, you see her begin to tumble off the back of the wagon, losing her balance as the hand is basically pulling her from the wagon.
Can I attempt to grab her?
Yes.
I'm definitely the person to be doing this.
I think I'm going to make you, to even attempt to grab her, make a dexterity saving throw. Which I think you have advantage on because you can see it, right?
Yes.
Yes. So
Okay.
go ahead and give me that. Okay, so you are able to kind of see this happening out of the corner of your eye, like watching the tendril hit the orb and then the struggle ensuing, kind of knowing what might potentially happen. You kind of prepare to reach out, and as she begins to tumble off the edge, you can attempt to grab her and like yank her up. So it's going to be a strength check.
Strength check. Okay.
And this is... Okay, were you rolling with advantage?
I have disadvantage.
Oh, because you're poisoned.
That's why I said I'm the worst person to be doing this.
Ooh, okay. Give me a dexterity saving throw, sir.
Okay.
Okay. You grab onto her, able to kind of see it happening, latching on, and as you try to hurl back, you feel that fatigue and that wariness from the poison inflicting its damage or its effect on your muscles. As you go to pull, there's just not the strength that's usually there, the strength of the rage that you usually rely upon. And as you yank, you feel that it's not enough as your own body is starting to slip, your feet kind of losing positioning on the wagon as you are starting to tumble after her. With the dexterity saving throw, you can let go or you can hold on to her.
I would like to hold on.
Okay, so you're going to go out of the wagon with her at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rolly, since you are riding behind the wagon on your horse, you would be watching this all go down. Is there anything that you are attempting to do?
Am I anywhere near her?
So, to kind of visualize this, wagon, Syrah and Thor coming off wagon, you were like here, riding on your horse behind the wagon?
Can I, as I see her falling, is there any chance that I can come up next to it and kind of lean down and catch her like, Legolas and Gimli style, only?
Yeah, you certainly can. Let me explain what roles you might have to face. I'd probably make you do an animal handling check to like stay on the horse and stay mounted and make sure that's all going well. And then a strength check, but you're not even catching just Syrah at this point. You're also catching Thor. So it would be a very difficult task. You can try it, but it would be very difficult.
I can't think of anything better to try, so...
Okay, so go ahead and give me an animal handling check. Shit. Okay.
Natural one, alright.
Okay. So, as the spectral hand shoots by, this like rush of air and a little bit of the voice that you're hearing in the back of your head actually coming off of the form of the arm, your horse kind of looks over and you see its attention snap to the arm. And as it looks at the orb and looks at the arm, and then it's like the horse's head almost turns all the way around to see what's pursuing you, you feel it begin to rear up. It planting its rear feet on the ground, its front ones coming up as it lets out this horrified neighing sound filling the hallway as you are beginning to feel yourself slipping off the back of the horse, basically in the same boat as Syrah and Thor at this point.
So we haven't fallen off yet, correct?
You are going to fall off. I'm just trying to find any way to not make you fall off, which is not going well. So
I was going to say, if Thor is falling off, like attempting to grab the cart, not able to grab the cart, I would try to rage grab the cart. Or like jam my sword into the cart and hold on to that.
Well,
although I don't know if
the option that I gave you is you're not strong enough to hold her, but you got the dexterity save to either let go or hold on. So you're either going up with her or you're letting her go and staying on the wagon.
Okay.
That's your options.
Yeah, I'm going with her.
Okay. That's what you said originally, so we'll go with that. So before we go with that, Valoran, Jarek, you're still doing your thing. Go ahead and give me another quick wisdom saving throw, sir.
I can hear you. I will be right back.
Okay.
You know what? Wait. I'm gonna burn a lucky point.
Okay.
Love of God.
This might be the day that dice rolls kill you all. Oh, he has +5 to that still?
Yes, he does.
Thank God. Okay. So, Jarek, as you are, like, grabbing aggressively on the back of Valor and trying to, like, almost clamber on top of him as you're both riding Belgrease, your voice quickly repeating what you hear. Eventually, as you kind of, like, get your hand on Valoran's shoulder and your mouth is almost kind of, like, dripping with saliva with, like, the amount that you are speaking, you are snapped back to where you are quickly moving down the road, finding yourself on top of Belries with Valorant, all of the various commotion going on around you.
Where did it go, Valorant?
Derek, are you with us again? It's all around us.
So as you two are yelling back and forth, you begin to hear a loud, bellowing, baying sound from one of the horses. And as you both look back, you see Thor, Sierra, and Rolly all tumbling through the air, a few seconds passing before they all slam into the road, falling from their various perches as they begin to kind of roll with the momentum that they were taking. Rolly's horse, after bucking him, begins to just sprint, trying to continue down the path you guys were on. Rolly, Thor, and Sierra laying prone on the ground as the shadow terror that's kind of been lingering is still limited by the sunlight coming off of the orb, is kind of sitting, resting in place at the limit that it can reach.
I got to turn around and go back.
As soon as we're within 60 feet, I'd like to unleash some dissonant whispers. See if I can.
So to be within 60 feet, you would have to be kind of past Sierra, because the bright light from the orb is 60 feet, and that's the limit of where he can be. So to be within range, you'd have to be kind of past the orb.
All right, my mistake on
because you're ahead of them. You have to turn around and go back.
I thought the thing was right there grabbing his. Okay.
No, it's holding its place, but it shot out a long hand to grab the orb and wrench it.
Gotcha. No, never mind on that one then.
Okay. So Valor and Jarek, you're turning around. Well, Valor, and you're turning around. Jarek, you are riding, and going back for the companions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Within 10 feet of them all.
Okay. So as you turn, Terry, who's still in control of the wagon, shows no indication of slowing down, continuing to whip the horses as they still go forward, following the path you were all on.
Can't worry about him just yet.
Okay.
He's got Adam and Sparky. They can bite his throat out when they come to.
Okay. So with the wagon quickly disappearing into the distance, you turn around and ride back to your companions, watching the shadowy creature at its limit, kind of darting around over and over again. You see its hand, the elongated, stretched hand, shooting out again. Thor, as you're kind of tumbled with Sierra, kind of laying next to her, kind of pushing yourself up off of the ground, you see the orb is kind of fallen from her grasp, just resting about 2 or 3 feet away from her. You see the spectral hand latch onto it, and are you going to attempt to grab it and fight him?
Yeah, I would try to be raging at this point.
Okay, so go ahead and give me a dex saving throw to see if you can grab it before he yanks it away. Okay, so as you see the spectral hand latching onto the glass orb, a bit of the shadowiness of its hand actually reflecting in the bright glass, still blasting daylight in a large radius, your own hand reaches up and grabs on top of his, and you feel the struggle begin. Go ahead and give me a strength. We'll do opposed athletics. So go ahead and give me an athletics check. Do you get advantage? Oh, because you're raging, but you're poisoned, so it's... Okay. As the hand latches down and you get your own grip, you feel it tugging back and forth, but the shadowy hands are being attacked and kind of pushed into the air from the bright light. And so it doesn't take long until the hand has to let go, and you grab it into your own hands, kind of guarding it next to you. You are now holding the light.
Yep. I will just say, no, this is mine. I will hold on to it and secure it, and try to get close to, God, I want to say Sierra.
Sierra, S-E-E-R-A.
Sierra. I will try to, I guess, get up from prone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm prone.
Yep.
And then kind of walk over to her and kind of just protect her from the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I assume Rolly isn't too far away.
Yeah, Rolly's maybe like 5 or 10 feet away from you both.
Okay.
Yeah, Sierra's like getting up off the ground, and you see her looking around, checking that you have the orb, and then looking at you, go, "We have to go!" And then looking down to where the wagon is disappearing, and you see her face kind of like go a little bit slack, watching the wagon go, and seeing Valor and Jarek coming back, and then looking at the shadowy creature, looking at the wagon, she goes, "No! No, they can't split!"
I'd cast Sending
Okay.
over to Terry, and turn around, you fool. There are more ahead. Come back.
Okay. Does he get to reply?
He does have that option.
Okay. As you send the message, you would hear, "I'm not here to die. You deal with..." And then there's like a pause, like an active pause for a second, and then you hear, "Fucker, get off me." And then that's the message you get in return. Rolly, are you doing anything at this point?
So where am I the tail end? Is there anybody behind me?
You are kind of laying next to Thor and Ciri. You're about the same distance from the creature.
Okay, I'll get up and try to grab both of them and help pick them up.
Mm-hmm. So Rolly, Sierra, and Thor are all kind of standing. Sierra is already beginning to start like half jogging, running after where the wagon is disappearing off to, making sure that Thor still has the globe, the pocket sun, and like looking over at Valorant and Jarek like, "We have to go! We cannot stop!"
How far away is this?
It's 60 feet away from whoever has the orb. That's its limit. It can't get any closer.
And we're all together right there?
Roughly at this point, yeah, sure.
Okay. I'd like to throw out a guiding bolt.
Okay. That's a 10?
It's not a 10. It's actually gonna be... Burn my other lucky die. Ignore that.
It's gonna be a 10.
God.
So, Jarek, riding on the back of Belgrease, your world kind of bobbing up and down with each hoof movement. You're eyeing it from basically behind Valor and reaching your arm kind of under his armpit. Val, you see this giant blue light shoot from Jarek's hand over Belgrease's heads and up towards the ceiling, and it hits a rock like just near the shadowy figure. The little bit of glistening blue radiance that like is left behind by kind of sticking to the stone. As you see the white eyes of the creature like quickly shift over to where it's landed, and then back to you, Jarek, and then you see a thin white smile creeping across its face, and then it starts darting around again all along the limit until it darts into one of the cracks in the wall and disappears.
Oh, thank the gods.
I feel like the whole time Thor and Sierra.
Yep. We would be yelling, "We got to go, we got to go, we got to go, we got to go!"
Yeah, that is all she's doing. She is hauling ass after the wagon, which is still tumbling down the road.
Do I know that Thor has lost a step here? That he's struggling?
You would be able to tell.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Maybe
Thor,
not right
what is
now.
wrong, man?
Raging. Maybe you wouldn't be able to right now because he's raging.
We'll go with it. We'll go with what you
okay,
said.
that's fine.
Okay.
Oh, just that poison really hit me pretty hard.
I want to ride alongside him and say, "We need you at your best, sir. and reach down and lay a hand on his shoulder and cure his poison.
Okay.
I'm doing the best I can. Oh, I see what we're doing here, and I'll continue to sprint forward.
So the wagon is about maybe 200 feet past you all. Valor and Jarek mounted, Thor, Rolly, and Sierra all on foot, all running towards it. You see the wagon has stopped, progressing forward, kind of being locked in place. There's vague movement you can make out from the distance you're at. And then as you're watching, all eyes on the wagon, you see the shadowy figure shoot from the wall, kind of clinging about 30 or 40 feet away from the wagon. And then you see it dart through the wagon in one quick, swift movement and land on the other side of the wall, a loud scream erupting from the wagon.
I want to dump Jarek and spur my horse as fast as I can.
Okay. Explain to me how Jarek dismounts Belgries.
Him or me?
Jarek, do you want to go for it? I'm asking.
Just gonna, push him off the back. So that's gonna be a pretty hard thud right there.
So yeah, as Valorant prepares to trudge forward, you just feel a quick shove, Jarek, as your, I guess not your footing, but your positioning on the horse is very quickly shifted backwards before you fall off the ass, landing on your back, the air being knocked out of you as Thor, Rolly, and Sierra are all just behind you. You're landing with your eyes staring up straight at the ceiling.
When I feel him go, I yell, "Stay in the light!" And then ride on.
Okay. So, Valorant, you are going to quickly outpace the party on Belgries. It probably only take you a matter of seconds to get up to the wagon, but you are going to leave that 60-foot radius. I just want to make sure you understand kind of what's going on.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm raising my glaive, holding on to the reins with the other hand, readying to... Actually, you know what? Scratch that. I'm holding on with my knees. Like a circus rider, and I've got the glaive up, ready to strike.
Okay. So as Valorant goes charging, 60 feet is the horse's speed, so dashing is 120, right? Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. So as you go barreling forward, quickly leaving the light that Thor holds in the distance, you see the shadowy figure that had darted through the wagon. It's it doesn't really have body parts, but you see the mass of it shifting around, the white eyes staring at you. Again, that small white smile crawling across its face. And you see it darting towards you. And this thing moves at such incredible speed that it's hard for your eyes to discern where it's going, as it almost zigzags and crawls and dives under the various bits of broken stonework of the hallway. And then quickly, you see it appear next to you, its eyes locked, as it is almost effortlessly, there we go, keeping pace with you and Belgries, just riding parallel to you as its eyes are on you. Were you readying an action?
A strike, yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and do that.
I'm going to use my Channel Divinity for a guided strike and add +10 to that.
Okay. So that's 19?
That's it.
And it's just a straight strike with your glaive, nothing else added onto it?
No, I'm going to smite.
Okay.
If I hit.
Does smite also replace the slashing damage of the glaive as radiant, or is it just the smite damage as radiant?
Just the smite is radiant.
Okay. So yeah, that would hit.
So here's the regular glaive damage for the heck of it.
Okay.
And a level 2 smite. 15 radiant damage.
Okay.
And as I slash out at this thing with my glaive, I bellow, "I am the gilded claws of terror!"
So as you swing your glaive out wide, the white energy of your power kind of clinging to the bits of steel, your slice almost follows the exact arc of the smile, quickly throwing the shadowy part of the bottom half of its figure kind of into disarray as you basically part it in two, the white energy trailing off of the blade and almost clinging to its shadow before it kind of twists into a gray matter and then disperses into the air. But it's clear that your strike does not land the decisive blow that you're used to, as the figure's face begins to reconstruct, the smile coming back as this loud, piercing, screaming hiss begins to dig at the back of your mind, replacing the whispering that you heard before. And as you do that, it is going to lash out with you, kind of forming two giant kind of broken hands and then throwing them your way. Let me go ahead and look this boy up. What does he have? So it is... What is your AC, sir?
18.
Is there anything with riding Belgrease that shifts any of that?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, so it does hit. And it does... Jesus. 16. And then give me a con saving throw, sir. Any bonuses to that?
No, that's with the bonuses.
Okay. So, as it appears up beside you, the face basically being thrown away and recast, and the arms coming up, they shoot through your being, passing through your armor, uncaring of whatever dodge or move that you try to make, as you feel the spirit of this thing lurching into your own chest, and quickly this searing pain, this burning death begins to just shoot through your chest and then up your neck, and you can feel the blood vessels in your neck beginning to almost solidify and die as the blood tries to move through its dead brethren. And then as all the pain is reaching your face and your brain and your mind, and you're trying to hold it down and dig through it, the world goes black to you and you are blinded. And you take 19 points of damage.
How long has it been since we started running? Has it been more than a minute?
Since you initially started running?
Yeah,
when you first saw it?
Since I cast Heroism on me and Thor.
Yeah, I would say it's probably been more than a minute at this point.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're blinded at this point. Belgre's still charging forward, but you are now incapable of figuring out what's going on around you. However we do turns, at the end of your next turn, you can attempt to save this again. So, Rolly, Thor, and Jarek, as you are all hauling ass on foot, Sierra with you, Thor holding the light high, you see Valorant strike through the shadowy monster, and getting a quick swell of relief that Valorant, your heroic party member, is actually facing off of this thing. And then you see its claws dive through Valorant, coming out the other end, and then you see Valorant's sense of self, his presence, his riding ability quickly begin to falter, his weapon kind of aimlessly drifting around as clearly something has affected him.
So I would be able to reach them
How far are we from him?
Okay,
Wow.
yeah. One at a time, sirs. Jarek.
I would be able to
Thor.
reach. Okay.
No, Thor,
I
go
would be
for it.
able to reach him the fastest because
Yes.
I have 40 feet of movement,
Yes.
and then double that's 80. So I'm
Yes.
only 40 feet behind him at a sprint.
Uh-huh.
Now that just means that everybody else would fall behind me.
Yeah.
Because nobody can keep up with me.
Yeah. So is your goal to kind of race towards them or him?
I would say I would probably try to keep everybody within the
light.
sphere radius,
Mhm.
and then once I kind of see that, I may sprint out to try to get that.
It would probably work that as you are getting the edge of the bright light on Valorant, the rest of the party would kind of be on the other side of it,
Yeah.
just about to leave it, so you could probably fit the two.
That was my plan.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. I can't imagine I can carry that and also attack it at all.
Yeah. Roll, are you doing anything, sir?
So, is Valoran, is he engaged with this thing?
Yes. It is right beside him, fighting him at this moment.
Alright, I cast, okay, first of all, can I get within 30 feet of him?
No, you're much farther than that.
Okay. Then I'll run as fast as I'll go as far as I can forward and cast Sacred Flame on the thing.
Okay, what's the range on that?
60 foot.
Okay, I don't know if you can make that because you're all sprinting at this point, like action dashing, and that's going to be, like, at the end of your turn, if you dash, you're going to be 60 feet away from him. So you wouldn't be able to dash and do that at the same time.
Okay, then I don't dash, and I cast Guiding Bolt level 1.
Okay. This
And that's
will... The drawback of this is you will not be moving as fast as the rest of the party, and you will fall out of the range of the light that's holding the creature at bay. But you'd be on the other side of it from him.
Never mind, I'll keep running.
Okay, I mean, you can do that. I'm not saying not to. I'm just explaining the situation.
I know, it sounds like it might be a bad idea.
Okay. Jarek, are you doing anything?
I will slap Rolly with a light on his shoulder. And it'll reduce pace, but we'll still be within about 10 feet of each other.
Okay. So as you were all running, Thor kind of breaking off, Jarek, Ciri, and Rolly kind of in their own little group at the tail end. Jarek and Rolly, or I guess Rolly, you're the only one who understands Ciri at this point, is like cursing under her breath as her eyes are locked on Valor, and she goes, "Don't you fucking die on me!" And begins like hauling ass as fast as she can. Woo. Her armor like rattling and clanking together violently as her body is like pushed to its limit. Valor, and as you are basically cut off from the world, hearing the foot falls of Belgrease. Are you stopping Belgrease or letting him continue?
I've given him his head. It's up to him.
Okay.
I can't see it.
Yeah, I got you. So as you get struck and the world's cut off, you quickly hear the creature to your left like let out a little high-pitched squeal and then some like intense rapid scraping, as you can mainly assume it's running off. Thor, what you would see is the light finally catching up to Valoran as you're sprinting behind him, sending the creature about 5 or 10 feet away from him. But as you do so, you see Belgrease is not stopping and quickly will again move forward out of your range.
Can I like attempt to yell at them?
Yeah.
Would I have the mental strength to know that I want to say James, but it's not James. Valoran is not in control of Belgrease?
I mean, he's in control. Like, there's no way for you to tell what's going on with him, but obviously something is wrong.
Then I would just, like, if I see them, like, trying to sprint forward, I would just yell, "Wait for the light! Wait!" Like, trying to,
your mic.
get them to stop.
Okay.
Or at least slow down.
Are you gonna do anything with that, Valoran?
Belgrease can understand common.
Yeah.
But if you've told Belgrease to go forward, like riding it,
I don't mean anything. I'm loose in the saddle.
Okay. Thor, give me a persuasion check with advantage. Because Belgrease is the best of friends.
We are, persuasion.
Damn, okay. Okay. You call out, and you see Belgrease's ears, like, perk up ever so slightly, but still steaming ahead, kind of following its last order that it was given to reach the wagon.
Whenever it's my next turn to yell, I would like to yell something.
Okay. So I know this is like a weird initiative thing, and we're kind of just like rolling through people. But Valorant, it would more or less be your turn at this point. At the end of your turn, you can attempt to cure your blindness, more or less. Is there anything you're doing during your turn?
Yes, Shield of Faith on myself.
Okay. Can you explain to me what that does?
It raises my AC by 2.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's all you got?
Yeah.
Okay, so as you feel Belgrease kind of like bounding beneath you and Thor calling out behind you, go ahead and give me a con saving throw, sir. Ooh, okay, there you go. With all of the commotion and the potential peril that might occur if you do fail, you force the blindness away from your eyes, this kind of foggy vision receding into the edges of your peripheral vision, and you're finally capable of seeing again. The wagon quickly coming up in front of you as the shadowy creature that's to your left you see was about 10 or so feet away from you, but the light begins to fade quickly as the creature begins to descend upon you again with the lack of light. So, it's going to try and attack you again, sir. So your AC's 20 now?
Was it farther than 10 feet away, and now it's on its way back in?
Yes.
Okay.
Polar Mastery? Is that what you're... Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Oh, that hits.
And we're going to do another smite.
Okay.
8 radiant.
Okay. So as it basically scutters, all the various limbs kind of throwing itself forward, you reach out with the glaive, and again that white energy kind of cutting into the shadow, leaving residual bits of it kind of trailing off into the air as your glaive pulls away. You see it undeterred as it almost latches onto the side of Belgrease and begins clawing at you again. Alright, let's see if it beats 20. It does not. Give me a con saving throw. Okay, so as it latches on to Belgrease, and its hands almost start clawing at you, this time failing to actually go through your physical form, but you're feeling the residual, almost deadly burn from its grip, starting to work its way up your arm and up your shoulder. Now knowing what, again, failing might cause, you surge your constitution and repel the blood kind of working its way up into your neck as you stare it down, its thin smirk still meeting yours, and that would basically be it. So I'm going to say basically at the end of this little turn, you'd be reaching the wagon, which is still at a standstill, with Thor trailing behind you, and then Jarek, Rolly, and Sierra trailing behind them. I'm trying to see if anything's really different. Thor, you wouldn't be able to keep up with Valoran. So are you keeping the rest of the group in the light with you?
So basically the way that I'm trying to play this is to always be within 40 feet of whoever's at the back.
Okay.
So that if needed, I can just sprint back so it can't hit somebody behind us.
Okay.
So if I'm holding an action, it's just to sprint back.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
Okay, so you see Valorant outpace you again, getting closer to the wagon, as you are kind of looking back, making sure that the light that you hold high is still cast upon your companions, Sierra, Rolly, and Jarek, the shortest of the group with the smallest legs, hauling ass in the back, attempting to try and catch up with everybody. That would more or less, I guess, be what you can do, unless any of you stop and try and cast something, choosing to kind of lose pace.
Go ahead.
Oh, just a question. How far, for spell purposes and firing purposes, how far away is this thing?
So, to kind of give you all a good idea, the wagon, this is all from Thor, because Thor is the center of the light, basically. The wagon's maybe about 80, 90 feet away from Thor. Valorant's maybe about 5 or 10 feet away from it at this point, quickly closing in on it. Then there's the gap, Thor with the light, and then you guys are about 20, 30, 40 feet behind him, a small mix there. So the wagon is about 80, 90, 100 feet, somewhere in that range.
That works. Can I tell if this is a magical creature? Or
I think that's a fair assumption.
Okay.
It certainly isn't like a squirrel.
Well, I'm thinking if it's more of a something I can dispel. I'd like to try. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what that would.
I'm just checking it real quick. Go ahead and roll for it.
Just a.
Also, I would just continue yelling about the light. And I would try to yell at Belgrease that I have beats.
Okay.
I think it's just a D20.
Yeah, it's D20 plus your spellcasting ability, whatever that is. So, what would it be, like a 17? Is it plus 2? What's your spellcasting ability bonus? You're muted.
Plus 3, so it'd be
Okay.
18.
Okay. You send forth the dispel, praying to God that this is the solution. Has no effect. So, yeah, I guess at this point we kind of like kick back up to the start. Valor, kind of be your turn first. You are at this point within like visual range of the wagon. The scene that you come across, the contents of the wagon are all over the place, tossed around, spilled. Like it's clearly, you know, the traveling and all that stuff has moved all the contents around. Sparky is on top of Terry at this point, whacking him again over and over the head with his little wooden shard as Terry is attempting to basically unlatch Sparky from his head. You see Adam kind of splayed out sideways on the little bench that he usually sits on. One hand kind of like over his chest, his mouth open wide, his eyes open wide, staring blankly up into the ceiling. That is the scene that you come across. You're about like 5 or 10 feet from the back of the wagon.
How far is the sphere of light from where we are now?
I said what, you were like 80 feet away, Thor?
Yeah, roughly.
So
which means
there's like
this-
20 feet of gap between the light and the wagon.
So he'll be on us
Next turn.
The next turn.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've just got to keep this thing's attention on me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I want to figure out wherever this thing's face is in relation to me.
Face.
And, just get eye to eye with it and sneer right back at it and just say, does this act impress all the highway travelers?
Okay. What are you attempting to do here?
Just keep it focused on me.
Okay.
Persuasion?
Yeah, give me persuasion. Okay. It's basically already kind of focused in on you at this point. Clearly you being like the biggest target outside of the light that it can kind of actively pursue. So you don't really know if your words have any sort of effect as it's continuing to chase you down anyway.
And if I have anything left after that, I would use it to dodge.
Okay. So your AC would then be 20 with
AC is still 20, but he
they have
would have
disadvantage. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Are you staying like near the back of the wagon? Are you repositioning yourself, or are you just kind of stopping where you're at?
Just kind of holding this position.
Okay. So as you hold at the back of the wagon, your companion's still catching up with you. It has one last chance to kind of scuttle across the floor, leap up at you, and then try to attack you again. So it's disadvantage. Okay. It does miss. Give me a con saving throw, sir. That's a 12.
Yeah, it's kind of low today.
Which way does it go when meeting the DC when saving? It goes to the defender, correct?
I think so.
I think that's right.
Let's go with that, and then I'll verify.
Sounds good. So, This time, as it reaches up again, not able to inflict its full amount of damage upon you, you feel its hands, grabbing over you, actually, managing to touch the bare skin of your neck, as you feel that burning death shooting back up your arteries, and again, trying to reach your eyes, and you feel the blackness begin to kind of affect the edge of your vision before you grimace again, hold your figure in place, and push it back, feeling more and more pressed as the attempts to blind you are happening over and over and over again. So, at this point...
That does seem to be correct for the record.
Okay, solid. But yes, at this point, Thor, you would be getting up to the wagon with your dash, casting it in light. Your companions would also be a bit farther back. I don't know if you'd all be able to do anything at this turn, but you would get the wagon in the radius, which I'm guessing is the goal, right?
That is pretty much the plan, is to get everything in the radius.
Okay.
Guiding bolt would be probably one of the only things.
What's your speed? It's 30, right?
30.
Okay. Yeah, so since the dwarves are 25, right, Rolly? And Siri, your speed's 25? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I would say that you're picking up enough of a lead from them that you can stop and cast a guiding bolt and still be in the back of the light. Oh. I'm assuming we're taking that first one.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you shoot out a bolt, determined to hit this time, you see it kind of swirling through the air, and as it lashes onto the side of Valorant, you see the blue energy connect with the side of it, casting that residue over the surface, as it almost slowly, I don't know, leaves a glittery residue on the shadow, looking almost like a starry night, latched onto the side of Valorant's figure, and you hear it kind of hiss a little bit, Valorant, you the most close in proximity at this point, hearing it kind of wailing and screaming as it tries to steer clear of the pain and scatters away from you to stay away from the light, being pushed about, I don't know, 20 or 30 feet away from you, maybe about 5 or 10 feet away from the front of the wagon. As it gets to the edge, whips around, its eyes start darting around, trying to look at all of you, trying to figure out its next best move. So at this point, more or less, you guys have all kind of gathered back into a group. Everyone's within the light and the wagon, all that. The shadowy creature isn't really attempting to do an action. It's just kind of keeping its distance at the edge of its boundary. So you guys can kind of start doing what you might be doing.
Did anything fall out of the wagon, or it's just kind of all jumbled in the wagon?
Nothing's fallen out. It's just everything inside of it is a mess.
Okay. I wanna ride up to the driver's bench and tell Terry to knock it off.
So as you ride up to the front of the wagon, Adam's still laying motionless on the little bench. Sparky and Adam still going at it. You finally see Terry kind of getting a grip on the back of Sparky with his bronze gauntlet and pulling him off a little bit. Sparky's nails coming out and scratching the side of his face before he kind of hurls Sparky in the back of the wagon. Here you come up, and he goes, "I'm saving my life here."
It's either me or the monster.
You see him kind of look at you and then look at the shadowy figure just only about 10 or so feet away from you both, and then looking back at you and then reaching down for the reins, kind of giving the silent okay.
That we'll say that's my turn.
Okay. So what are the rest of you doing at this point?
Probably casting Sacred Flame at it.
Okay.
As often as possible.
Yeah, I would do this.
You're both moving to the wagon, casting Sacred Flame, Thor closing in with the light as well?
Yeah, I would be running up and yelling at everybody to get on a horse or a wagon or anything.
Okay, so Thor, your horse that Rolly was riding, has booked it off into the distance at this point, after dumping Rolly. I think you guys have 2 other horses besides the ones pulling the wagon. Jarek has one.
Jarek has one.
So it's just
I think
one?
we only have. I think we just have the one that Jarek has it because,
Okay.
yeah. So
Well,
me and Rolly would have to be in the car.
To be fair, I don't know where that is.
Let's say it was tied to the back of the wagon. D&D logic. Yeah, so as what's the saving throw for your Sacred Flames for the creature?
Not much. Dexterity 14.
Is that different for you, Rolly?
For what?
Your Sacred Flame Dexterity saving throw that it has to make.
Yeah, it's 16.
Okay, so it fails Jarek's, and it fails Rolly's. So what is your damage, sirs? 7. Thor, are you kind of just like gain to the wagon and stopping? What are you doing? Because you're now like at the wagon with the light. I know you're like telling people to like get on board and that kind of thing, but are you doing anything?
I mean, can I get within 30 feet of it?
No, because you're holding the light, which pushes it 60 feet away.
Well, but so I was gonna put the light. Oh, never mind. So I mean, no, I can't. I can't really do anything except for usher people into carts and get them to safety.
Yeah, so Ciro would be doing the same thing, like calling out to all of you to either get on the wagon, get on the horse, keeping it moving, screaming out that like getting to Corn Tomb is like the best strategy. You guys are about like a half day's travel from there, so that's the plan, that's the goal. Are you all participating in this? Yeah.
Do I see Adam?
Yeah, I mean, all of you at this point are within sight to see Adam laying flat on the driver's seat of the wagon.
Is he alive? I asked Terry.
Terry looks over. He's like, "I don't fucking know."
Back.
You see him reach down and like put his fingers down to his throat. He's like, "Ah, you ain't breathing."
I want to. I want to cowboy over off of Belgrease onto the wagon into the driver's seat.
Okay.
And reach across to lay hands on Adam. I'll drag him across Terry's lap into mine and put a hand on his chest and try to heal him.
Okay. Is there a roll involved with that one?
No. I just do it.
Okay. So as you pull the small gnome into your lap, now
5 hit points.
Okay. Now sitting next to Terry as he is grabbing the reins of the wagon, you feel Adam's body is stiff as you begin to move him. None of his limbs want to really cooperate as you get him into your lap. And as you reach down and touch his chest, you feel that it is distinctly cold. It's not raising or moving at all. And as you try and put forth any sort of healing power that you hold, it kind of like reaches his body and then just kind of pours over it and doesn't really sink in or have any effect.
You just hear that he calls out in this like fearful tone. Rolly!
Did I see him try to heal?
I imagine so. Yeah, you're all like within the same proximity, so.
I'll toss a cure wounds, or not cure wounds, but a healing word at level 1 at him.
Okay.
Does that?
So Valorant, as you call out to Rolly, and Rolly, you stepping forth, drawing your power from the mother, letting it flow through you and cast to the gnome, you feel something's wrong. Like the other soul that you're trying to connect to and heal isn't there, and you feel it not connect and have no effect.
I can't feel him.
We got to go. We got to keep moving. We got to go. Like, that's all.
At this point, I imagine everyone's like wagon, horses moving, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rolly, you should take the horse and keep close to the perimeter. See if you can keep him off us. A little bit more sacred flames.
I nod to him and hop on the horse and turn the horse around to go back to the back. And
Well, the creature's in front of you all at this point.
okay.
Yeah. So Rolly's kind of right on the perimeter, casting Sacred Flame, attempting to kind of push it away from the boundary. Valorant, Jarek, Thor, Terry, and Sierra, and Adam, and Sparky are all in the wagon, which is however that works.
I could ride Belgrease.
Yeah, I guess Belgrease is free. Sierra, as she gets into the back of the wagon, kind of crawling over the contents, sees Adam on Valorant's lap, and you just hear her begin to curse. Goes, fuck! 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 Fuck!
Valorant's sort of joining her, like he's kind of angrily shaking Talmian's body in his fists, like with a hand on each of his biceps, probably the size of his entire bicep, just shaking him and like, again, why doesn't it work again?
The only real movement you would see is like his loose tongue kind of shaking in his mouth a little bit as his mouth hangs open, and it almost appears that his body's been like frozen or like, I don't know, locked in place as you just shake him, screaming at him, like, you know, rocking him back and forth as the party begins to move. At this point, as Rolly, you are casting Sacred Flame, throwing it out at the creature. You see it begin to like dart away, not really able to affect you or get at the glowing orb or anything of that nature. It darts away from you guys at incredible speed, slipping into one of the cracks in the wall and kind of disappearing. But you all still hear that whispering in the back of your mind, still ever present, as the wagon and the horses and the party continue to trudge forward down the hallway. And we will take a 10-minute break there. So as the party go about their various ways of getting the situation dealt with, Rolly's still kind of riding the perimeter, you know, constantly scanning for the creature to return, keeping an eye on the rear as well, almost acting as like a second buffer besides the light. Sierra and the rest of the party in the wagon moving forward at this point. Time and the situation itself beginning to kind of settle down, almost into like a very tension-filled traveling. Your pace still very aggressive as you're moving down the roadway. Sierra has kind of resigned herself into this like bitter silence, just like her eyes constantly over at the still body of Adam, as she is certainly deep in thought at this point. Yes, at this point, you know, traveling ahead with the threat potentially at bay for the time being.
At some point, pretty quickly, I'll move back over to Belgrease and butt ride next to the wagon and addressing Sierra and Dwarven. And what is it?
You see her kind of like look over at Adam, kind of look down at the ground, and then finally kind of like raise her eyes to have eye contact with you. There isn't much known about them besides the terror that they wield. Legends say that they're the lost souls of some twisted fucking evil or some shit. I don't know. I just know that you don't fuck with them. That's why.
Was it drawn to us? Why is it on this road?
I don't know. It wasn't in my book. It wasn't in my notes. There's no mention of it. No one's run into them. I don't think we drew its attention, but fuck if I know.
No one's run into them. When was the last time one of these was seen?
How did you know about it?
It's my job to know about all the twisted shit down here. I can't remember the last time this was mentioned in the logs. I mean, think they really existed.
Is Adam Can that thing use him?
Kind of like looks over at Adam and looks over at you a little bit confused, but then like kind of asking herself the question, wondering for a second. I don't think so. That's never been mentioned. I don't think so. No.
Valoran, are you suggesting that Adam could rise again in some kind of ungodly beast?
Just trying to think of everything.
Valor, you're speaking in Dwarven, right?
Oh,
You're
Can
good.
I? Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
You're cool. You're cool. I'm just making that sure. Oh, you good?
I would be holding Adam.
You be what?
Holding Adam.
Okay. Side note, Thor, while this is all coming down, Carl, who's been, on your shoulder during this time, with a little bit of rest finally, coming, starts wiping some grime off of himself from the combat that you guys ensued, and you see that the stone is glowing in his head.
I'll leave it for now.
It's not your fault,
Speaking
Are we
to-
we're continually moving, right?
Yeah. You guys are moving at a pretty brisk pace right now. But Valorant, who are you talking to?
Sierra.
You see her kind of like snap over to you. She's like, "It is precisely my fault. I am in charge of getting you there alive. He's not dead yet."
Adam's not dead?
Kind of like looks over at Adam and gets like kind of like determined look on her face. Not if I can fucking help it.
is he afflicted with something?
I'd like to go over to Adam and I'd like to cast Lesser Restoration.
Explain to me what that does. Or pop it in the chat either way. Yeah, let's see. Okay. You cast it. And he's in Thor's lap at this point, so however you guys are like maneuvering that. Thor, you would feel he's almost like as stiff as a board at this point. His arms kind of like at his side. He's like laid in this like almost perfectly prone position. As Rolly, bring forth the mother, and you kind of feel like gradual power kind of coming from you and transferring to the small being. He begins to go limp in Thor's lap, his arms kind of like falling off of your knees, his head kind of rolling to the side, his eyes kind of like partially closing at this point, still motionless, but no longer paralyzed.
I thought that was it. He'll be all right.
It's not breathing. Like, he's dead, but he's not paralyzed.
Oh, for shit's sake. And I didn't say that.
You're good. Just a little miscommunication there.
Okay. I don't think I have anything to help.
I ask Sierra if she has diamonds on her by chance.
Just looks over at you a little bit confused, and then like kind of realizes the question. No. Wait, can you do that?
With diamonds I could, but
What's the limit on that? It's pretty quick. It's a minute, right?
Yeah, 1 minute.
Yeah. She kind of like looks a little bit disheartened and looks down like, no, fuck. We could get some at the next stop, but we don't. No, I don't have any on me, half-beard.
Thor, Here, pass him over.
What's your idea what you're about to do?
I'm going to wrap him up. You don't just let them flop around. That's disrespectful.
I'm holding him, JD.
As you two are conversing, you hear some of the clutter in the wagon kind of shifting around, and then you see Sparky kind of like tumble over a chest and like walk up to you, and he is holding the blanket that Adam swaddles him in each night, kind of like offering it up to you both as you're talking about covering him up.
Thank you, Sparky.
Yes!
He'll pass it over to Thorn. Thorn, just... It's respectful.
Alright. And I will take the blanket. And I will wrap him.
So, kind of loosely cover Adam. Wagon and party still moving ahead. Unless there is anything else that you all want to do, try, talk about. You have a couple hours of hard riding ahead of you before you reach Corntomb. That's the situation that you all are in.
I'll just heal myself for 15 from my lay on hands pool.
Who is holding the light? Sorry, I forgot to ask that.
I am still.
Okay, with Adam on your lap?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just keeping a sharp eye out, and before we bear down for this last leg of this traveling, just say to Sierra, we're still alive. So gather your wits now.
As you speak to Sierra, you see her kind of like looking over at Adam and looking back at you. Like, I know what I'm doing, and I know what lies ahead.
That's right.
So, after about 2 hours from the last sighting of the shadowy creature, as Rolla kind of spurted off with his sacred flame, that whispering in the back of your mind, Jarek being the only one to really discern its meaning, finally fades away, kind of signaling that potentially it's lost interest or found something else to pursue, allowing you to get rid of the edge of potentially having that threat on your back the entire time. But there's still a couple hours left to travel before you reach Corntomb.
Are we taking a short rest's worth of time?
I guess you could say so. If you're not doing anything besides just kind of traveling, you could take a short rest.
I would like to enact my Song of Rest, and anyone who chooses to use hit dice can gain an extra 1d6.
Okay. Is anyone doing that?
I will.
Okay. But the rest of the travel continues. The, kind of empty, slightly eerie ambiance of the Dwarven Highway is kind of filling the area around you as you continue. Eventually, another hour or so passes by. As you're staring down the length of the hallway facing west, you see what appears to be like a similar kind of fortification of the Pale Legion fort that you saw when you started this adventure, kind of facing you, almost like a wall within the hallway with a gate kind of blocking the way, various small bits of movement kind of going across the battlements on the top. You're still a fair distance off, but it's finally within view, slowly, approaching it, getting clearer and clearer as you go. Sierra at this point has kind of like slowed you all down to like a normal pace, no longer really like pushing you forward. She's gotten off the wagon, is kind of on foot, moving in front of the wagon, kind of almost to the point where she's away from the party, kind of off to herself, leading you guys forward. So, anything before you guys approach the town proper? So, squeaky wheels of the wagon continue to kind of move forward. The party basically staying silent at this point. Terry very much reserving himself to not interacting with any of you for the time being. Sierra leading the charge, more or less. Eventually, when she approaches the gates and the guards up on top of it kind of notice you all, look down at her, she very quickly kind of like steps forth in a curt tone. Lieutenant Sierra, Bronze Legion, open the gate. And they kind of like look around, look at her, look at the group, and then, proceed to open the gate for her, no questions asked. As the gates open, it's kind of a shorter, what's the word I'm looking for? Like cavern. The ceiling, instead of being like the 60 or 80 feet of the hallway, is more like 20 or 30 feet tall. And it's this flat, wide, almost like pancake-sized cavern in front of you with various, dwarven buildings kind of cut into the stone, into the side, in the center, with like various different avenues kind of making its way through this small settlement. It's very clear that like the main purpose or export of the settlement is the mother's bell mushrooms that make that earth bread that dwarves kind of sustain themselves on. Vast kind of pockets of it kind of filling the wider, emptier areas of the cavern with little bits of like almost like fencing or like stone walls kind of surrounding it. But you guys kind of step through, and Sierra, not really like giving you guys any sort of commands or whatever, just begins trudging through the city, kind of leading you through Corntomb's heel at this point.
I think Jarek can get out and forward to catch up with her. Sierra, priest man, bring Adam to life.
She looks over at you, and her eyes kind of like give you a unamused look. She goes, I handle it.
Okay.
Is she by herself or?
No, like her and Jarek are now about like 20, 30 feet in front of the wagon, talking with, the rest of the party being at the wagon, I assume.
I'd go next to her and just put my hand on her shoulder and tell her that,
as you said, nobody knew this was out here. Nobody suspected it. This isn't on you.
Kind of looks at Jarek, looks at you. You see her like struggling internally for a few seconds.
I turn around and let her. I wouldn't continue. I just.
So she leads you deeper into the town. A lot of the dwarves in this town kind of stepping out of their homes onto their like porches or patios, wherever they have, watching you all enter. Obviously, travelers aren't very common here. Goliaths and the like really not being a sight that anyone would be able or be used to seeing. So there's a lot of like children and older people kind of pointing and talking and mumbling kind of going on as you move through. Let me go ahead and there you go. But no one really approaches you or stops you. It's just a lot of onlookers. At one point, Sierra kind of leads you guys in front of a building, and it's everything's written in Dwarvish. So Jarek, you're the only one who's not able to understand what's written. There is a sign hanging off the building calling the miner's wife, and it's kind of like almost a pin-up poster of a dwarven woman holding like a pickaxe with the shaft kind of like seductively covering bits of herself on the sign. But she like stops there, points at the building, and goes, "Rest here." And then she like looks over at Thor. She's like, "Give me the give me the small man."
Take care of him.
Kind of like grabs Adam from you, and she almost like cradles him like a baby. Like, she's definitely larger than a child would be for her, but she like almost kind of like wraps her arms protectively around it, very quickly whips around and begins wandering off down the streets, kind of leaving you guys in front of the tavern.
And I would whirl around, and as she left, the God, why can't I remember his name?
Terry.
And I point at him
You.
Me.
If you're going to be traveling with us, you're either going to pull your weight or you're leaving now.
I mean, that's precisely what I did. I pulled my weight out of that deadly situation.
This isn't a joke. You either are worth something or you're worth nothing.
Well, considering I'm traveling with you, apparently I am worth nothing.
You won't be traveling with us anymore.
I don't think that's part of the agreement, Halfbeard.
Agreement's over.
Terry kind of looks over at Thor, and then back to Halfbeard. I wish I could leave you all. It would be much safer and warmer back in Bronshard. But I cannot return, so I shall not be leaving.
You're not coming with us.
Whatever you say. And then he hops off the wagon and he begins moving towards the entrance of the tavern nearby.
Was that in Dwarven?
I imagine so. Yeah, Terry only speaks Dwarvish, so.
Really? Well, what was that about?
I told Terry that if he won't be useful to the group, he isn't welcome to travel with us anymore.
I mean, he did try and just take off with all of our stuff.
Am I the only one that feels this way?
Well, no, you want to get rid of him. I agree. If we can dump him here, then it probably bodes better for us.
Valoran, Thor.
I have no love for that coward.
Liability. If he hadn't, maybe Adam would still be with us.
Agreed.
I agree.
And
I
he
had plans
shows
to talk to him, but you got to him first.
not the slightest contrition.
You know, if we just need to have him stick around, that should be easy enough.
What does that mean, JD?
He could just stay here when we leave.
And how do you suggest you all make that happen? Because I cannot go back on what I've said.
Well, I mean, you've only promised to give away the hammer. I don't think it was...
You promised nothing concerning that piece of shit.
Was he part of the agreement? I know he was supposed to come with us, but it wasn't
I
that
think
wasn't
exact
the-
terms. Goran said, you have 2 months. I will send my man with you to see it through. So you could really decipher that either way.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think he made it specific. You have to bring this guy back alive.
Yeah, but I think the understanding was, don't
Yes,
kill my
yeah.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting we kill him. I just don't want to bring him along with us anymore.
I'm just saying that it sounds like part of the agreement was he has to be with us.
Thor, if he chooses to leave, we can't stop him or force him to come along with us.
No. But what would make him leave?
I think you could probably leave that.
Leave that.
Jarek has
Well.
a stuttering problem. It's okay.
JD. I'll slap him.
Okay, he's back. Yep.
You can leave that one to me. I think I can maybe convince him to just hang around a bit.
What does that mean? How are you going to do this, JD? Because if it's by some magic trick, eventually somebody will figure it out and they will come back to kill one of us. Probably you.
Thor, he's the reason that Adam died. I know with any luck, Sarah will be able to bring him back, but I just don't think he's trustworthy. I don't trust our safety around him.
I understand that. And that is where we need to talk to him and tell him that he does not get to make his own decisions while he is with us. Okay? Because
Yeah,
obviously...
he seems very reasonable. He seems as if he would listen to what you say, Thor. That's a great idea. When he comes back...
Really, I really appreciate your back talk while I'm trying to have a serious conversation.
I'm
But,
having one too, Thor.
sounds like it. Anyways,
Not fucking anyways. What I'm trying to tell you is that he's not going to agree to anything you have to say.
he'll
And
agree.
it's a liability. He's already gotten Adam killed, and I don't care if you don't care about that. We
Are
do.
you saying that I don't care about Adam being killed? Are you seriously saying that?
It doesn't bother you?
What do you mean it doesn't bother me, Rolly? Adam's dead. I carried him.
Why?
What do you mean, why? Because of my Terry that I just got willed upon me because I was put into a battle where I almost died, flew away with our cart.
Harry was acting as part of the group and not running away and separating us. Do you think things could have been different?
Oh,
Do you understand why I'm angry?
Rolly, I am the same level of anger, if not more, than you.
Don't show it. When he comes back, make it right then.
I
See
was
if
going
you can
to.
do it.
At a certain moment in time, I don't need you to yell at me at things that I was already going to yell at Terry for. I understand. Okay, he should not have driven whatever away. Because the safety was with the stupid ball. I get it. You don't think I get that? I was the center of the ball. I understand how it works. Understand that he drove away and that thing killed Adam in the process. Why he didn't stand up, why he didn't try to save Adam, I don't know. I wasn't there. I was trying to save our guide. I was trying to save you.
I know you were. I'm saying he wasn't.
I
Which one
understand.
of us is he going to kill next?
He's not going
Because
to
he
kill
only
him.
values his own skin.
Exactly. He's in self-preservation, but we need to tell him, we need to force him essentially that
Yes, exactly. As I suggested. And when I suggested that, you start talking about a bargain or agreement or whatever the fuck.
What do you mean a bargain or agreement? You mean the thing that I have sold my life for?
Rolly, we have 2, maybe 3 days left in here. I'm sure if we can't get him to step down, we can find something to solve our problems while we're still underground.
I'm sure everything will be just fine.
Oh, give it a second.
I'll catch up. JD!
Oh, that worked.
There we go.
You're back.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I could use a drink and something to wipe the piss and the sweat off of myself. So if you'll excuse me, he'll push into the tavern.
Okay. And what is the rest of the party doing?
I'll go park the cart.
I'll go try to find Sierra and Adam.
Okay.
I want to see a stable boy or a hand of some kind come. Like I want to see one if I can to give Belgrease to, and maybe toss a couple of coins at him just to be like, sort him out.
Okay. Yeah. So like Thor, as you're like kind of moving the wagon from like the main road, kind of in like the small alley next to the tavern, you see there's more or less kind of like a stable. It's kind of built into the back of the building. And as you begin kind of bringing the wagon there, there's probably like a handful of like young male dwarves, probably like teenage, young adult age. They're all kind of like watching you very tentatively, like they're kind of like holding the little pitchforks they were wielding and like the equipment they have as you're like driving the wagon onwards. Their eyes kind of locked on you. One of them kind of like comes up very slowly and like puts his hand on the horse and is like, "Hello."
I'll say in Dwarven, "Hello. Don't worry, I'm not here to hurt you or anything. Just here to put my cart in, if that's okay with you guys."
Yeah. Yes, we can do that. He kind of grabs like the bridle of the horse and starts like leading it in. It's like, we will put it away,
Okay.
very gently, very safely. Yes.
Just be careful. There is a salamander in the back. He kind of yells. I don't know if you speak common or not, but just don't hurt him, or I will have to hurt you.
Got it. And then they would also take Belgrease from you, Valorant, and you would see that the stable is not built for traditional horses, so like getting the horses of the wagon in is fairly easy. But when they get Belgrease, they kind of like get it to the opening of the stable. They like look up and see that like he's a head too tall for it, and they kind of like gesture for Belgrease to like lower his head, which he like dutifully does, and then they like lead him into the building.
So I'll say to them in Dwarven as well, the best of whatever you have down here. And then to Belgrease in common, I'll say, I'll come check on you soon, boy.
Okay. So wagon and Belgrease will be put up. So
I will hand Belgrease a beat.
okay.
Or I guess shove it in his face.
Okay. So, Jarek, what are you doing as you enter the tavern?
Approach the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And test it out with a. Do you speak common?
So as you approach the bar, you see this rather burly dwarf, and again, everything is dwarven sized here, so everything's a little bit shorter than you would like, and things are kind of built for that height instead of common folk. As you come in, you like approach the bar. Burly, red beard, bald head. He is missing an eye, with a giant, basically like an everyday kind of stone, like stuffed in it. He's got like a crooked smile with a lot of missing teeth as he turns and looks over at you, looking you up and down, kind of like cocking his hand to his ears. He listens. He's like, yeah, common, yeah.
Oh, great. Could I get 5 ales, please?
That's a lot for one man. Yeah, 5, yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
You look a little sad there, lad.
We've lost a companion.
Oh, my condolences. Get you those ales. And he then turns around to start prepping your drinks. You take a look around the tavern?
I think the second thought after the thought of beer would be, can I play here, even though I'm not a dwarf? So he would definitely scan the place, looking at least for there's like a corner to play in, and kind of checking out the patrons to see who's wealthy and not.
So as you come in, it's clear the established was not like bumping at this time. Getting your way into the door, kind of glancing around. You see Terry is off at like a small table in the corner, kind of nursing a drink to himself. As you get to the bar, have your little conversation, and turn back around, you see a flood of people coming in. Not like, they're clamoring over Black Friday style, but like when there was only 2 or 3 patrons when you entered, there's now about 10 or 15 making their way in. Most of their eyes on you as they kind of like skirt to the side and kind of like sit at tables, and they're like still like looking over at you a bunch.
Flash a brilliant smile and kind of pull up the lute to strum a few notes and gauge the reaction of the crowd.
The majority of them would be very readily accepting it. So, Thor, Valorant, what are you doing currently?
What's the name of the tavern, by the way? I missed it.
Huh?
What's the name of the tavern? I missed it.
The Miner's Wife.
Once I drop off Belgrease, I'm going to try to catch up with Rolly.
Okay.
Is that minors in underage or
minors as in...
Okay, just making sure.
Thor, where are you? Where are you going?
I am going into the bar.
Okay. So, Rob, as you break off from the group, as Sierra kind of disappears into the crowd, various things kind of going on around you, you start trailing off where you'd last seen her. A couple minutes going by before you hear Valorant quickly catching up behind you. You both kind of heading in the general direction that Sierra kind of moved away from.
I see. I assume I see Valorant.
Yeah, he's like coming up behind you as you're walking.
Back over my shoulder and nod at him and keep walking towards Zero.
Okay. So, after kind of heading in the general direction, her kind of, moving slowly through the crowd, having to also like, move with Adam, you are eventually able to kind of like catch up with her as far as like seeing her in your line of sight. The crowd's kind of like, some of it's partially broken off to follow Valorant, but for the most part, it's kind of stuck around the tavern. So you almost have like a very small, vague entourage kind of off in the distance. But you see Sierra kind of moving through the buildings, kind of turning off towards like one of the walls of the cavern. And then reaches like a pair of staircases that like goes up and turns around and zigzags and goes back up. Oh, excuse me. Eventually ending up at what appears to be kind of like a rudimentary shrine for the mother, having the green emerald symbol kind of like built prominently into the face of the building right by the door. And she quickly kind of like pushes through there and into the interior.
I try to catch up with her.
Okay. So, as you ascend the stairs, following her path, eventually making your way into the building, you enter in to see that it's, Rolla, you being used to Mother's Helm and Bronze Shard, and, only really seeing, like, smaller, dashes of the Mother's influence in other places. It's kind of like a, sobering experience as you step inside and see, rather plain walls, crude furniture, like a handful of what appear to be acolytes kind of milling about, less like extravagance or like showmanship. There's no like murals or anything. There's a few like spiritual like statues and implements kind of dotted around. It appears to mainly be like one room with like 2 doors kind of set into the far wall. But as you like come inside, you see Sierra kind of dipping into the last door off to the left as the acolytes kind of turn over to you, kind of like looking up and down, some of them like recognizing what you are and kind of like straightening up, kind of like looking at their outfit, making sure it's all like straightened and whatnot. So
I would pass by them, go straight to the shrine and drop down to my knees and just start praying for Adam and that, if there's anything that can be done, please let it be here.
give me a general wisdom check. Not a save.
It's the same.
It's the same. Okay, cool. I'll take that. Okay.
Actually, no, it's +5. So sorry. So it would be
21.
21. Yeah.
Okay, cool. We will get back to that. Valorant, what are you doing at this point?
I just stop at the entrance and just wait. It's not my church, and so I don't just kind of wait and see. But I wanted to see whatever was happening for myself.
Gotcha. So, Jarek, are you playing in the tavern at this point? That's kind of what's going on.
Would Thor have gotten inside at this point?
Yeah, he'd probably be like coming in as you're like getting the feel of the crowd.
Okay.
I have a plan. It's
Okay.
not going to be very fun.
I'll wave at Thor and grab the ales and set them down on a nearby table. And figuring that this will just be another tavern visit, call out, do you lot speak common?
The majority of the crowd kind of like look at you and just like,
Great. And he'll bust out a quick tune out from Thrice Tower, maybe something about the farmer's daughter.
doing the Mr. Roboto.
Nope. Or Regato.
Yeah. Thor, what is your plan, sir?
So Thor's still pretty hot, and I'm not very good at confrontation as a person. However, does the bar have a door?
Like the bar itself or the building?
Like the building.
Yes.
Like, does it close and open?
Yes.
Is my question.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just asking if it's like an open door or if you have to like open it.
It's closed and you open it to go inside.
Okay. So, Thor would like to rage and open the door quite aggressively.
Explain what quite aggressively means.
Like you hear some splinters crack.
Okay.
And then he will kind of burst inside and locate Terry.
Okay. So, Jarek, as you set your glasses down, kind of like getting your loot, getting some nice smiles from the crowd, starting to like kind of pick away, you are immediately interrupted by what appears to almost be like a gunshot. The door slamming open. You're hearing a bunch of like as like some of the loose boards of the door kind of like shake loose and crack. Everyone's attention like shooting over to the door. A lot of the crowd like dispersing, running for tables, running for the bar. The actual barkeep kind of like ducking beneath his like little small island, I guess. A few of the men kind of like turning around like scaredly, kind of like putting up fists, like prepared to try and defend themselves as Thor enters the tavern.
Do I see Terry?
Yeah, Terry's over in the corner drinking, yes.
I would like to grapple Terry and drag him out of the bar.
Okay, healthy emotions here. I like it. Okay, yeah, so as you burst forth and start, like, basically beelining for Terry, he, like, looks over at you and he's just, like, sets his glass down. He's like, God damn it! Leave me alone! And you grab him?
Yeah, I don't say anything, I just grab him. Do you want me to
Go
athletics?
Yeah. Oh. So he's kind of like almost in like the deepest part of a booth, more or less. So as you kind of like reach over the table to grab him, he like slaps your hand away. He starts like kind of like pushing away, kind of like trying to, get your hand off of him. And you just kind of grab him with one hand and just hurl him over the table and start dragging him out of the tavern.
Yep. So I will drag him all the way out.
Okay.
And then I will basically kind of like, old bar style, just throw him out of the bar.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I'm wondering if there's more, or if you're like that's all you're doing. Is what I'm.
No. There's. I'm having a conversation. I'm just,
Okay.
This is where the conversation is happening. It's
Okay.
outside of the bar. What was that, Terry?
So as you like go out of the bar and toss him to the ground, he kind of like scuffles away a little bit, kind of like almost like rolling into a little ball, and then kind of like straightening back up and looking at you, starting to like dust himself off from like the dirt of the road. It's like, Do you not ever ask any fucking questions? You all just assume that everyone's out to fucking kill you.
I just asked you a question. What
After
was
throwing
that?
me to the fucking ground, you goddamn behemoth.
I'm sorry. Are you actually talking to me right now? No. You have not talked to me this whole ride. Did you decide to talk now? You don't get to talk. Here's what I am telling you. You go by what we say, okay? You do not just get to run for your life with two of our compatriots with you, okay? You don't get to run with our cart and then put other people's lives in danger. That is not how this works. And I would like to attempt to, like, intimidate him, essentially, as I'm going through this.
Go ahead and roll an intimidation roll.
Okay.
Okay.
To remember where I was.
You do as I say, you don't take our stuff.
Yeah. If we tell you to move, you move. If we tell you to stay, you stay. You ask us for orders, okay? You don't get to make your own rules around here. Because this is life or death out here, not like your stupid little we have metal fist gang that you're a part of, okay?
You see, he was like making the motion to stand up, but as you start like bearing down on him, he just kind of like holds his place on the ground. And as you're like stood over him, you know, bellowing down at him, there's a bit of silence as you finish speaking. He kind of like looks up at you, and you see, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, sadness is maybe the best expression. He like looks up and he goes, I didn't want him fucking dead. He froze. I was helping. I thought I'd get him out of there. I liked him.
Terry. No, Terry, he is dead because you ran. We needed to
How was I
stay
supposed
together.
to fucking know?
You ask, Terry. You ask. You say, what do I do?
Oh, as you're all stood there gawking at the fucking monster, I'll go, oh, what should I be doing? I was trying to save his life.
Well, look what happened, Terry. Look what happened. You clearly did a great job. And I'll just walk away.
Okay. Solid. So, yeah, Jarek, you're just kind of like left in the tail end of that as like a lot of the patrons are still kind of hiding behind various bits of furniture. As you hear, like, loud shouting outside.
I would do my best to kind of supplant the crowd. Just, no, and start playing and, like, take one of the ales and, like, put it in front of one guy and take another one and put it in front of another and just kind of do my best to maybe distract them.
Okay, give me a performance check, sir. The Golden Hearts know how to make an entrance. Okay. So yeah, as there's still violent screaming outside, two voices kind of going back and forth, you're just like setting down ales, starting to strum up a tune. Some of the women and children start to like come out from behind their barricades, more or less. The barkeep kind of like peeking over the thing and like looking at the door, kind of like, fuck. But you are able to remove the bad vibes of the building a bit as people start to kind of like come back into the fold. You know, Thor kind of leaving, and Terry eventually, a few minutes later, comes back into the bar, going back to his drink.
As I'm working the crowd, what kind of dwarves am I seeing? Like regular worker dwarves? Does anyone seem a little bit better?
I mean, you would more or less, like, you know, with Jarek not being very well versed in dwarven culture, kind of being like in a foreign environment, you would more or less just kind of see them as like dwarf people. Like, it'd be very difficult for you to discern, you know, one of higher class than the other. I mean, there's a mixture, but nothing that like stands out to you. No one's wearing like a Rolex watch or a monocle made of like platinum or anything.
Okay. And yeah, just ply the crowd for a little bit. Try and prevent any of them from going outside.
Okay. Thor, where are you storming off to, by the way?
back into the bar.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, so after the shouting and whatnot, and the tensions are kind of dying down, where are you going in the bar?
I would just basically, like, I wouldn't rip the door off. I'd just open the door normally, and I'd just, like, walk into a corner.
Okay. So we got Terry in one corner, Thor in the other, crowd kind of very, very giving Thor a wide berth. Still kind of like paying mostly attention to you, Jarek, at this point. But we'll kind of leave that there. So Rolly and Valoran. Val, you're still just kind of like chilling by the door. Rolly, you are down in prayer. Valoran, you would see a few of the acolytes kind of like moving towards Rolly, almost appearing to like wanting to say something and interrupt him, and then kind of like thinking better of it and like going back to like whatever they were doing beforehand. But Rolly very quickly and deeply, finds himself in prayer to the mother, a small shrine that, represents, faith in her, kind of prominently centered in the far end, like podium of the room. Is there any, I know you're asking, to save Adam's life and things of that nature. Is there anything specific that you're asking, or just kind of centering around that?
Specifically, I mean, I know that I wasn't up to the task of reviving him, and I'm asking her that somebody who is be here.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all I could think of to do at this point.
Yeah, I'm weighing DM stuff.
Odds or evens.
No, I'll leave it up to that. So as you reach out, Rolly, I know we don't like to talk about this much, but I imagine you go into prayer fairly often, right? Like every day or morning, night, that kind of thing. So there's kind of like a certain mindset or routine or kind of like spiritual feeling that you get as you move into this space. You reach out to the mother, using your words, using whatever connection you may have, with the experience of being this cleric for so long. You don't really get a response right off. A lot of your prayers kind of just like drifting off into the abyss as you continue to like press further, think harder, reach out for any sort of grasp. Eventually you do feel this kind of like soothing, lighter energy, kind of like first starting in like your heart, like moving across your chest, and like eventually kind of filling your entire being. And it helps comfort you, but it doesn't really give you any sort of answer or direction or guidance. Just kind of leaving you there for several long minutes to at least like bring yourself down from whatever like heightened state of aggression or grief or sadness that you might be dealing with. Until eventually the feeling kind of like lingers, letting you return more to like where your baseline is. And you recall very long ago, months prior, when you were first pulled to Dragoncliff Mines by that kind of like spectral hand, that kind of like guiding energy that, gave you a path to go on when you were, lost. You feel it grab you and pull you kind of towards the east. It's kind of hard to describe the feeling this gives you because it isn't really like a direction. It's kind of like an intent. It's almost like bestowing upon you, intuit direction? I can't think of the term. Innate, like an innate direction kind of thing. And you feel like a familiar friend, being, ally, acquaintance is what it's directing you towards. And then you feel the eye that's still purple kind of like twitch a little bit before resting in place.
And it was towards the east, like where we came from?
Yeah.
I would just give a very deep, like, weary sigh. Like, not really what I was hoping for, but never. I mean, I'm just gonna try to, that would be it. Just.
Well.
But at that point, I would just. I would keep praying, just waiting for her to come from the door. There's nothing I could do.
Val, are you doing anything? So it's kind of milling by the door? Okay.
Just waiting.
So a fair bit of time passes, maybe like 10 or 15 minutes or so, before you see the door that Sierra disappeared into kind of like bursting open, not carrying Adam at this point, but her expression definitely still dark and brooding. She steps forth, kind of spotting Rolly in prayer, and you at the door, kind of looking between you two and kind of like shaking her head angrily and like charging in your direction, basically, for the door.
I don't stop her. If she doesn't stop to say anything, I don't.
Yeah, as she's like moving past you through the door, she kind of like speaks as she's, passing you. Bunch of fucking useless nuns. They can't do shit. They're preserving him. And then she moves to the door and then down the steps.
I would, I'd go to where the body was. And still had some of the energy drink that Adam had brewed in my flask.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just take a drink of it, and so cheers to him, I guess, in a not happy way, but
yeah. So as you glance or move into the room, the door being left open by Sierra, you see a few what you would recognize as maybe a bit more distinguished members of the church. Their hands kind of resting over Adam's kind of still body. You would be familiar with this process. They're more or less, what you guys did with Jarrell on the way back from Karun Vale, basically kind of bestowing his body to not decay for some amount of time that you're not really sure of. But that is the process that they're doing, various kind of murmurings of the, chants that might need to be said to facilitate this happening. But that's what's going on. Is kind of come in and do your little...
And so I would recognize that they're keeping... So there's still a chance that somebody could revive.
Yeah, they are preserving him. Yeah.
Preserving him. Yeah. Turn around and go.
Okay. What are you two doing?
Who are you talking to? Us?
Valorant and Rolly. I'm just trying to figure out where they're heading, or they're just staying around.
I'm following. Yeah, I'm following. I'll follow Sierra, or Sarah. Sierra,
you got it.
Yeah. And look at Valorant. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
Okay. So if you two follow Sierra, she's kind of heading back towards the tavern at this point, making their way there. But Thor and Jarek, you would be in the tavern, doing whatever you may potentially want to be doing at this point.
Is there a candle nearby?
No.
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
I'll just be mentally talking to Carl then.
Gotcha.
After plying the crowd a little bit, I think Jarek might go out with a small bag and see if he can get any money out of him.
Well, your performance was 20? Okay. you are able to accumulate 4 gold pieces, 4 silver pieces, and a copper piece.
Good haul. Okay. And then from there, go ahead and order, let's say another 5 beers, because I gave out the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Bring them over to Thor. Push the first one towards him.
I don't
Do
want
you feel better? Do you feel better?
No, I don't. Are you talking about the poison?
No. Now that you yelled at Terry.
No, I don't feel better.
I mean, if the poison still got you, we should probably.
It doesn't, JD. I'm fine.
Okay. I don't know what we're gonna do, Thor. Adam was always in the background, but he was always there.
I know.
Didn't always see eye to eye with him. But he took care of everything. I'm gonna miss that.
That was the Duke's man that he gave to us. What do you think happens if we can't? I mean, have you even heard of people coming back?
I mean, the gods watch us all. They perform miracles. From what y'all had mentioned, from that one being you ran into, life and death didn't always seem to be absolutes.
We really need to see that guy at some point.
But hopefully here within the Dwarven Mountains, maybe I don't know if the Mother will be merciful towards us and grant us this boon, but maybe we'll get lucky.
I think we're gonna need a lot of luck. Because I've never seen somebody come back. But honestly, I haven't seen half the things you people do before. So maybe there's a chance.
I mean, they're tales, I was told as a child, so those have to come from something.
I feel like we still have to keep going right now. We can't turn back.
Well, no, of course. Why would we turn back just for Adam? No.
GD, oh my god. How can you say that Adam was an important part of our group and then say we wouldn't turn? Would you turn back for me?
Well, in this exact situation, also no. If we can't get him taken care of here, then, I don't think there's anything that could be done in the time that we have.
So, at this point, Rolly and Valorant, you'd be making it back to the tavern, Sierra kind of leading the way, eventually turning around at both of you. She's like, I have people to talk to and things to check in on. Get some sleep, we're moving out in the morning.
Fair enough.
And then she quickly departs, leaving you guys to leave the entrance to the tavern.
Semi-broken entrance.
So, Jarek and Thor, you can still hear your conversation, but Rolly and Valorant, you are now outside the tavern, able to do whatever you desire.
Just look at Valorant and nod towards the bar.
Or the tavern, I should say.
A drink to Adam.
To Adam. Go inside and Thor and Jarek there.
Yeah, they're set about a table, kind of, well, no, Thor, you were at the corner, so yeah, the opposite corner away from Terry, so.
Yeah, I'd go find Thor and... Is there any drinks present, or...
Yeah, Jarek got drinks for you all, yeah, so.
There's a total of 3 untouched ales in the center of the table.
Alright.
Or did Thor take his?
No.
4 untouched ales in the center of the table.
Alright, so I'm gonna grab 2 ales and stick one in Thor's chest. Like, just basically, like, stick it out and right there for him. And I'm sorry.
It's not their fault.
This is the part where we drink. Shut up. But I am sorry.
It makes you feel better, right? Threw Adam out of the bar and may have yelled at him pretty aggressively.
Terry.
Or whatever.
They're all of them. Doesn't matter.
Shut up. I hate all of you.
Yes, that does make me feel better. Not as better as if I had done it myself, and I still might. Sit down and I'll drink mine all in about one gulp.
I think he's had enough for today.
You all are now convened at the table, drinking your ales for whoever's partaking in that. But I guess it's the point to have any sort of conversations or whatnot before it's late in the evening, so really at any point, heading to bed, getting a room is kind of like acceptable.
I would, if like Rolly leaves before me, I would just walk over to Terry and just give him my drink.
To who?
Terry.
Are you gonna tell anyone that you're gonna do that beforehand?
No.
Oh, so eventually,
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna basically slam it and just leave it there.
Okay. When you go over and put it down, you see that Terry is in a inebriated state and kind of barely acknowledges you as you put the drink down.
Great.
Anything else that the Golden Hearts are doing before bedtime?
Did we get rooms?
You can get rooms, yeah.
Okay.
He did say he would do that after I left, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't see him give Terry a drink.
Mm-hmm. Well, if there's nothing else that needs to be said, you guys can get rooms, go up to them, kind of sleep for the night. You would all get, long rest, all that fun stuff. And then we shall proceed the next morning.
Can I experiment a little with, Carl?
Did you ever want to hear that message?
Oh yeah, that too. See, that's why I told you.
Oh shit. Do you want to hear the message first?
Yeah.
Okay. Is everything alright? No, that's one word. Don't know where Olim is going. Side note, how do you feel about me? That's the end of the message.
It's so confusing. do you mean, how do I feel about you? I don't really... Oh, gosh. Oh, Croak. I will respond. I just gotta think of the response.
Okay. Is there anything else anyone's doing?
We're sticking with mortal choices. I'll take, yeah, okay.
About to Mayor Hellthorn his ass.
I would never do that to Thor. No, I think Jarek would probably, before bedding down with Valorant, practice. Nope. Am I messing?
No, you're good. It was the terminology you used.
Practice the writing styles that would look more appropriate for someone from folk.
Okay.
Try and get better at that.
Simple enough. Thor, do you have your message yet, sir?
I'm just gonna wing it.
Okay.
I will say, don't worry. You are doing great. Please keep an eye out and let us know if you hear anything.
Okay.
Boop.
Okay.
And then I will continue to experiment with Carl.
So are you trying to set Carl on fire? Is that the plan?
If there's a candle of some sort.
I imagine if you look, you'd be able to find some sort of flame.
I'm really just trying to test Carl's limits, see what he does, see what he doesn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just experimenting with him to see if all he really is a stick that talks to me.
Mm-hmm. So...
And I still have a rage left, so if I rage, I want to see what he does when I rage.
Give me... Like, what are you trying? Give me some.
I will attempt... I will just have him put his hand, like, through fire and see what happens.
Okay, so finding a lantern, some source, not particularly important. Eventually he does, like, lift his hand up, kind of put it through the fire. You see the flame kind of, like, licking around, like, the live wood that he's made out of. And for, I don't know, second or two, nothing happens. And then you see him, like, react and pull his hand out. And you take 1 point of fire damage, sir.
I take a point of damage?
Yes. Feeling like a singeing, burning sensation on your hand.
Ah! Fuck, Carl.
Ah! Hurts.
Yeah, I know. What the hell? Okay. Can I try to will him to grow?
Try.
I'll try.
So for those of you vaguely moving around Thor at this point, you would see him like focus in, maybe like fingers on the temple as he's like staring down Carl, kind of just like Carl looking up at him. Nothing happens. You do just like constantly hear this like
Okay. And then I'll just use my last rage and see what happens if I rage.
Okay. So
Just
rage.
out of frustration, I'll just rage.
Are you looking at Carl, asking Carl something, like just like?
Yeah, like basically, I don't know the extent of like how, I guess, how much Carl is a person or like a person himself, or how much he is of me. So I don't know if like talking to Carl is like just talking to myself, like talking to a wall. So I don't know if I can ask him questions. Like,
Well, you try.
yeah, like, well, I would ask him, can you grow? What happens when I get super angry? Do you get super angry?
I mean, his response would be, "We can try."
That's what I'm saying. So okay.
If you are raging, what are you doing? Like, you're just raging and then just standing there? Like, what are you doing? Is what I'm asking.
Who's around me?
I mean, are you in your room at this point? Still in the tavern? Like,
I would be in a room. I don't know who I'd be with.
well, apparently Jarek is bunking with Valorant, so you'd be with Rolly, I assume.
It's true, he's betting Valorant.
That's a fanfic I want to see.
He has quite the way with words. Can I try to surprise Rolly and or try to have Carl attack him while I'm raging? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of things to do.
You can try it, yeah.
Okay. I'll just hold out Carl to his face and then have Carl attempt to slap. I don't know!
So Rolly, what are you doing currently? Are you attempting to sleep? Are you doing something? Robert?
Oh, I thought you were asking him.
Nope, I'm asking you, sir.
Yeah, I would just be getting ready for bed. I mean, I wouldn't have known what he was doing at this point, so...
Yeah, so Rolly, you're kind of like, in your bed, long day, fucking awful shit you're dealing with, kind of getting ready for a nice, sleep. It'd be real nice right about now. You hear the kind of like heavy footsteps of Thor moving around your room and kind of like feel a vague presence behind you. And Thor, as you like reach Carl down in your hand and you kind of like fuel yourself with your rage, you hear this like, ah! And then Carl just like smacks Rolly on the back of the head. And like, you just feel like a little like pressure on the back of your head, Rolly.
I turn around to see what the pressure is.
It'd be Thor, I guess, looking like seethingly at you as Carl is like in his hand, like dukes up, basically.
I look at Thor and then I look back at Carl, and I pick my hand up like I normally always do for Sacred Flame, and I start to point it towards Carl and look at Thor.
Do it, Rolly. Do it.
You're nuts. I have no idea what's come over you, Thor, but
Damn it. Okay.
I'll pick up Carl and walk him over. Calm him down, would you?
Rolly, I'm experimenting here.
Experiment on somebody else. I'm not in the mood.
There's nobody else in the room. I'll just walk away.
Okay.
And my rage will end in a minute, and I'll just be... But I will still try to focus on Carl and figure out what the heck I can do with him.
Okay. Well, we'll get back to that on another day. As the Golden Hearts spend their night in the tavern, sleeping, long rest, all that fun stuff, recovering, eventually coming to, again, morning and day and night is kind of a vague concept down here, but getting a nice long rest, you all begin to kind of stir, feeling like the weariness of your muscles kind of like lingering in that kind of like dull, nice way when you get a really good sleep. The day's travel and the stress and all the events kind of like going away, but then coming back as you begin to, come back to consciousness. But you're all awake, in your beds, able to move down to the tavern, go about your day, talk to your companions, anything of that nature.
Just and come down. I just Terry just asleep at the bar?
If you go down into the tavern room, there'd be like 1 or 2 patrons maybe this early in the morning, but Terry is not in there. Neither is Syrah.
Okay. I'll just sit there. Maybe ask the barkeep. Excuse me. Hello.
Yeah.
Hey, 3 things. 1, what's your name?
Oh, they call me Sam Big Rock because of the eye.
Oh, okay. Got it. Sam Big Rock.
What's your name?
My name's Thor.
What?
Thor.
What are you?
Fireheart. I'm a Goliath.
Aren't those evil things?
I mean, that's a little judgmental, don't you think?
Just a simple question. I mean, you don't look too evil to me.
I don't feel very evil.
You did scare the shit out of me yesterday.
Yeah,
Broke my door.
so that brings me to my second thing. Sorry about yesterday. I was very upset at that dwarf. May or may not have gotten one of my companions killed.
Oh, my condolences.
Yeah, no worries. But I appreciate your yup. And then third, do you have food that I can eat?
I'm a dwarf. Yes.
Okay, can I have some food, please?
Of course. Sit down.
Okay. And I will put Carl down in front.
Okay. So, Valor and Jarek doing anything this morning?
I've gone to see to Belgraze, make sure he got good treatment by the stable hands, fed, brushed, ready for another terrible day of traveling.
Oh, when you put it that way. But yes, as you go out to the stables, checking on Belgraze and having to kind of like walk by the wagon as you do, you see that Terry has taken to sleeping in the wagon, Sparky as well. Them still kind of slumbering back in the storage compartment of it. As you check on Belgraze, you see they've kind of like aimed him out like the exit of the building so that he can like lift his head up the whole way, so he wasn't like constantly ducking the entire night. But it looks, like any other tavern would. He was well kept and fed and whatnot, and he looks pleasantly fit for travel. Enjoys seeing you and all that fun stuff.
And then at that point, I want to do a cursory inspection of the wagon.
Okay.
To see if anything is obviously missing or was damaged. And while I'm at it, I'm going to poke Terry awake hard. Perhaps even bruising him.
Okay.
And once I get him awake, you don't sleep where Adam sleeps. You pay for a room.
Give me an investigation check real quick. As you like poke him awake, he's like huddled in all of the spilled contents of the back of the wagon. He's like groggily, his head's kind of like shifting, one eye kind of squinting. You speaking, and he's like looking at you almost like dazed and confused, like reaching up and rubbing his head. I'm not paying for a room. No one's in the wagon anyway, except the lizard thing.
I'm gonna grab him and haul him out of the wagon like a potato sack.
As you start dragging him, you just hear him like, fucking, oh fuck, and like hitting the ground as you yank him out.
And then go back to surveying the wagon.
Okay. You would vaguely watch him or see him like crawling off to the side, kind of like sitting himself up against the wall of the stable, kind of like flicking a few bits of loose dirt off and then just like leaning into his own hand and falling back asleep. But yeah, as you look through the wagon, Adam being the most knowledgeable about the contents and everything and what was in it and where it was and all that fun stuff, it's hard to have an exact idea of what's damaged. There's definitely, as far as you can tell, nothing missing. A lot of the key items kind of, amongst the pile. But like, there's like spilled ale and loose coins and, various things have gotten like scratches and scuffs on them where once they didn't. Just like general kind of mess and clutter. Nothing obviously destroyed as far as you can tell.
Lockbox still locked?
Yeah.
That's good enough for me for now. And get some breakfast.
Okay. So, Thor and Valoran would be eating at the bar, I suppose. Rolly Jarek?
I would sit down and eat with everybody.
Sorry, JD. Don't serve nuts and bolts here, JD.
What would Jared do?
We're waiting for... there he is. Okay.
Jarek would take 30 minutes to do some ab crunches and push-ups after what happened.
A little bit of Rocky
yesterday.
music going on.
And afterwards, join the rest. Have a good hearty breakfast of hopefully more than mushrooms.
Not to derail the theme, but having you cast Mage Hand to play your own montage music while working out would be pretty fucking funny. Anyway.
If I had Mage Hand.
So after the party all kind of like, gather at the tavern, various small greetings going back and forth, food being consumed. A small bit of time goes by before Sierra, you hear her metal armor clanking before you see her, but eventually she does make her way through the bar door, kind of like walking in, eyeing you all, coming up to the bar herself. It's clear that she has not slept this night, like kind of dark bags beginning to like just show under her eyes, her face still kind of gaunt and annoyed more or less, but just like puts herself at the bar, kind of like hangs her head a little bit, glancing over at you all. Well, are we Are we ready to set off for the morning?
We are.
Don't start with me.
You, because I don't understand this, you look, point to her face, tired. Can you lead?
Kind of like gives you that like unamused look. Better than you.
She said way better than you.
She says that in comments, so.
Oh, never mind.
Thor's still waking up.
I didn't know if she could speak that fluid of comment or not, so I was going to translate, but not.
Yeah. Well, she kind of like looks at you all, lets out like a tired sigh. There is the problem. The Western Road has issues. Their gate has been being assaulted. So if we are to leave, we are expecting trouble, of course.
Kind.
Sorry, it cut out like the beginning of that. What'd you say?
What kind?
Apparently, Quaggas are attacking the road, attacking the gates, trying to steal away the Godsmen. Several days now. Apparently, that's a pretty consistent thing. So if we are to trudge forward, we might have to let out some of our frustration.
What the gas? What?
So a Quaggath, Rolly would probably know. That might be the only person who really has any sort of information on them. The deeper lore of them is there's some sort of like construct or being that was like built out of magical energy to be a slave service kind of thing for some underdark race. more or less, they are these like pale, furry, almost like werewolf-like creatures. Large, scary, strong, brutish, usually serving some sort of higher power, not really acting on their own. So, think like a Yeti-ish.
Will we like? Is that information relayed to us by her? I'm assuming.
Yeah, imagine she could either explain it or Rob could explain it, either or. So yeah, she like looks over at you, Thor. Like, they're not exactly my favorite thing.
But are they like working for someone, or are they just common down here?
I don't really care to dig in. I just want to cut through them and move. It's better than the shadow terror on the other way.
It's a very fair point. Alright, I'm ready.
What makes you think that the shadow isn't going to follow us?
Considering it lost interest in us before we reached the town, I'm hoping it's pursuing something or someone else. Hopefully, the residents that live down in this dingy shithole. Residents is in like the Underdark residents, not the residents of the town. Just want to make that clear, Jarek.
No, I got that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we can do? Any other insurance before we leave the settlement?
We could try roping potentially the god in with helping us, but they don't work for the Legion. They work for their little small king, is what he goes by. I don't quite know the translation for it, but I'm not particularly interested in playing politics, and I certainly am of the mind of killing something in this morning, so.
Will you stand next to me while I play politics?
Is that your other speciality, along with the glaive?
I have more than two, but yes.
Full of surprises.
Ooh.
Show me the way.
So she would give you kind of a small rundown of the town to explain like who you might be approaching. The guard of this town are called the Corn Men. Don't judge me. And the ruler of this town calls themselves like a small king. It's kind of like a word that's been translated multiple times. It's kind of like lost its original meaning and is being fit into like this usual dialect. But more or less, it's kind of like poking fun at kings on the surface, almost like calling them like small or unimportant, and then bestowing that title upon himself as like a ruler of a small town. But his name is Roboon Corntomb. He is of the original bloodline of the Corntombs that found the city and rule it and all that stuff. So, lots and lots of dwarven heritage back there. But he is the one that's in control of like the populace and the guards and all that stuff of this town, living in kind of like a nice, swanky mansion's probably a strong word, like a nice estate, more or less. A lot of his wealth coming from the mushroom farmlands that, make this town. So that would be who you were going to talk to.
Okay.
Any more, like, questions with that?
I don't think so.
Okay. So she kind of, like, looks at the rest of the party. She's like, are you all politicians as well?
I'm a king.
Certainly act like one, Halfbeard.
I kill things and I yell at people.
Valor and I think that we shall go. And she kind of like rolls off of her seat and makes her way across the tavern to leave.
Oh, we're leaving already? I just...
JD, just sit down. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Are they getting Adam's body?
No, JD, no. Just sit down. It's fine. I'll tell you.
Okay, because we should probably take it with us.
Yeah. I got it, JD. I got it. We know. We all know. Where have you been? Hello? Catch up.
I can't understand any of you. What do you want, Thor?
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
So,
I'll fill him in.
Okay. As Sierra and Val leave the tavern, she's kind of like leading the way more or less, walking side by side once you exit the establishment. You guys get maybe like a handful of steps down the road. Corfu like stops and turns around and like puts her hand like on like I guess what's her shoulder height, like your thigh or like your waist or something. And it's kind of like like leans against you for a moment, like letting out a sigh, and then like looking up at you. She's like, I'm sorry. This is not how I should be acting. I've never lost someone before. I've lost other Legionnaires. They signed up for it. We deal with it. It's the job. But I've never lost someone under my care, and I don't know what to do with myself.
You may not believe me, but I understand your frustration. I've been replaying last night in my mind continuously. Also thinking of what I could have done differently.
Kind of like nods along to your words, letting them, move through her own thoughts for a moment. Before she like looks up, weird emotions kind of like mixing in her face. For what it's worth, I don't know. Well, I shouldn't call him Tiny Man. Adam was his name, correct? Yes?
Adam Talmian.
I don't know what relation he was to you, but I am truly sorry that I failed you. I can't even imagine how you may be feeling, because he wasn't even an acquaintance to me.
He was one of our company.
Rob, your mic, please.
Any better?
Oh, no, that's worse. Okay. She kind of like nods her head along and looks back up at you. I don't really know your purpose down here or what you are. I try not to pry. I hope it was worth it, whatever it is.
Well, I can't know that yet. But as obviously capable as you are, or else you wouldn't be in this position, you are one woman. And I don't believe that any of our group blames you.
As you speak, like her eyes kind of like dip, kind of like hiding her face from you, and you see like a little bit, like her body kind of quiver ever so slightly. For like she looks back up at you, you can hear her voice like strain a little bit, like that tone of someone like just holding back, like almost kind of tearing up. She's like, "I'm not a woman, I am a legionnaire. Let's stop clucking like a bunch of hens and let's go forward."
Carry on.
So she would then proceed onwards without speaking anymore, kind of like taking the time to figure herself out. But she does lead you like through the town, through like various, fields of the mushrooms. You're having onlookers kind of like looking at you with a little bit less interest today, since most of the onlookers got their full the other day or yesterday. But eventually, she does lead you to what you would assume is kind of like the upper class of the town, deeper into that section before reaching the house of the small king, leading up to the door, kind of like knocking. Some other like servants come by, ask who it is, the very traditional kind of, entrance to establishments such as this, and then you are brought into what's more or less like a parlor or like a sitting room, where you would have like guests wait or lounge or drink. As you are brought in, you see a dwarf dressed in very fine clothing, lots of like gilded seams and very intricate embroidery. His hair is braided in this like almost like messy looking but clearly styled hairdo where it like curls in on itself and like sticks out in random loops and comes back in and like weaves into his beard itself as it like stretches down to about his waist. He's like admiring some piece of artwork kind of like resting on the mantle as you two are, I guess, gestured in by a servant. He like looks over at you and then kind of like gives the artwork one last kind of like small pat of his hand and then turns to you kind of like adjusting his doublet that he's wearing. Oh, welcome. What business do we have today? I haven't seen someone from the Pale Legion in quite some time.
Addressing her or me or
kind of both of you. Kind of just like off comment, mentioning Sira's position.
I'll wait a half beat to see if Sira intends to say anything before
she does not
respond.
look interested in the conversation. Yeah.
So I'll address him in Dwarven and say, Small King Corntomb, may your beard grow ever longer until the day the hammer is found. Pardon me for not having a gift, the road has been hard.
You see, like, a genuine look of, like, amusement and, like, pleasure at the very, like, situationally aware greeting. Kind of, like, standing up a bit taller, still being dwarfed by your size, but kind of like lets out like a hearty laugh, goes, "Oh, the road wouldn't be the road if it wasn't hard. Look at you, it's a pleasure meeting you. Yes, I'm Small King Corntomb. Who are you?"
I am Valoran of the Golden Hearts Company. We had the relief of overnighting in your town last night.
Oh, well, I hope that you found everything all right. He, like, comes in, like, grabs your hand with both of his, kind of, like, eagerly shaking it. It's like, you are quite the specimen. Last time I saw a human, that was a wild evening, sir.
Well, I'm glad to be the one to refresh your memory on what we look like.
Is there a reason that you have come, or is it just to introduce yourself?
Rough business, I'm afraid. We're bound for West Point, and our capable guide from the Legion tells me that the gate is being besieged.
Kind of like glances over at Sira and then like looks back up at you. Yeah, sour business that is. It's very much hindering our way of life, but as long as they're out there and we're in here, it's a good day in my book.
Well, you see, in the other direction, between this bastion and Bronze Shard, lies a creature of claws and darkness.
That like looks up at you and goes to laugh in response as he's like looking over at Sira, and Sira just gives him like a stern look, and his like laugh like catches in his throat. He's like, ah. Really?
Sira, what did you call it?
A shadow terror.
So, my fear, Small King, is that your village may find itself cut off from the rest of Dwarvendom. And I would invite you to take advantage of my company's traveling to West Point to send a contingent of your capable warriors to assist us in clearing the way.
Oh, if you think you're capable, you're kidding yourself, but yeah, that's real shit for business. Shit. Kind of like looks down in deep thought for a second, looking over at Sira, who just is giving him this like constant deadpan stare, looking back up at you. Well, you must have been capable warriors to survive such a harrowing event. I imagine the path to the west will be child's play for you.
Well, I certainly hope that's the case, but the odds are better for us both if we meet this threat to West Point with the largest force we can muster. Who can say when a party such as mine will come this way again?
Ah, shit. Valorant of the Golden Hearts, I am a man of business. I respect coin, money, value, property. I'll make a deal with you, and I hope that you take it. Whatever source these shit-eating beasts come from, I want it ripped out, root and stem. So if you promise that your goal or your desire will lead to ceasing this fucking trouble, then I will gladly send my men with you. But only if you see it completely through.
I'm gonna look at Sierra and gauge her reaction.
Kind of like turns to herself for a second, thinking about it, turning back to you. It would lengthen the journey.
Any guesses?
I'm no expert on what might be driving them, but down here it is very easy to lose one's way when getting off the main path. If we are hell-bent on finding the source of this issue, we might be delving farther than I am comfortable with.
I'll consult with the rest of my group and send word.
Now, looks between you two. It would be impolite of me to not share a drink with you at least.
I'll accept that gladly.
Kind of points a finger, you. It's what is it called? Vine.
I vine.
Fruity. Wine. You drink wine.
On occasion?
I have some. And he very eagerly scurries off to one of the doors. He opens it up. You hear him yelling at a servant, and then servant then disappears. But at this point, he would get drinks out for everyone. Some rather expensive, nice wine from Folk, obviously being the nearest source of such things, is served to you as you all share a drink. And then he very politely is think on it, have some fun, enjoy my town. Come see me if you need me.
Many thanks. And headed back.
Okay. So, yes, you would reconvene at the tavern with Sierra.
On the walk back to the tavern, I asked Sierra, surely you've been to the surface?
Valor and I have not.
Really?
I joined the Legion rather young. I joined up after the Death March, like a lot of us did. I'm one of the youngest members of the Bronze Legion, actually. Not that it matters.
Would you like to?
See the surface.
Yes.
Kind of pauses, actually breaking her stride for a second as the question perplexes her. I don't know. She lowers her tone and kind of steps closer to you. She goes, I am not afraid of many things, but that puts fear in my heart.
Almost fun, isn't it? Exciting.
You have a strange idea of fun.
Dwarves have no taste for the unknown.
I think that's one of the things that we truly distaste. But I will think on it. We'll see when we get there, because we will get there.
Of course.
Are you thinking about helping the small king?
I am. Not only for charitable reasons, helping him does help us. Without knowing the number of these beasts or their disposition, I can't swear that the Golden Hearts can break their way through.
Well, I am only here to guide, so I cannot tell you what to do, but leaving the main highways is dangerous. It's unknown. Again, something we dwarves do not like. I won't be able to predict what's coming, have warning, knowledge, direction. There's no maps. So if we go diving in there, I will face it honorably, but I will not recommend it.
I understand. Still, you know more about it than any of us.
It is my job.
Yes, your job. But is it your calling?
Looks at you, confused yet again. These questions being incredibly off base for someone like her. I'm a legionnaire. I fight for the dwarven race. I keep them safe. I clear the highways. That's what I do.
Again, I think I understand. I'd like to see your face when you see the surface for the first time.
It won't be nearly as exciting as seeing your face when your shitty lantern never comes in use.
Let's head inside.
Nods along and enters the tavern with you. So, three of you would be doing whatever you were doing during this time as Valorant and Syrah make their way back into the tavern.
Dots and boxes.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay.
Rob, you're muted, I think. I don't know if you were trying to
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was on mic restriction.
Oh my god! So loud.
Hey guys, I'm sorry. I was
4 or 5 sentences to get it.
Yeah, you just gotta.
Okay. Hello.
Okay. Yeah, you're good.
God.
It's really just the mic. It's the mic's way of saying we need to give more Rolly talk opportunities.
True.
Rolly is just drinking. That's it.
Okay.
It's drinking.
Okay. I guess
The gods descend from above. Rolly is drinking.
I'll have Carl play for me in dots and boxes.
Okay. You want to roll that out real quick?
Yeah. What is it?
Okay.
Intelligence?
Yep, just straight intelligence.
How many? 3? 2?
We'll do one at a time, see how it goes. Okay. Jarek ekes a hand up in the beginning. Jarek, your second one. It was so close to being 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow. But yeah, with 2 successes, Jarek, you would win in like a super disjointed fashion. So.
See, Thor, I don't know why you put Carl to play, because he's just a stick. He can't think.
Well, JD, as the reigning champion, I wanted to let my squire have a shot at it. Obviously he needs some training. But I think JD, what are you saying? Talk to me. Okay, there you go.
You're back.
You were just lucky, Thor. That's all that is.
JD, if there is anybody who is a person who is lucky in this group, it is you. I do not know how you have escaped death so many times, but luck is definitely on your side, and I am scared of the day that it is not.
You know, Thor, I appreciate that, but getting mauled and survived is not nearly as lucky as just not getting mauled. You know, if I could take that option, I'll take that option.
So you could not go off by yourself, but it's whatever.
You two
Also,
are.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say you two are interrupted as Sira kind of steps into the room, seeing you all kind of milling about. It's like, gather. Valorant has news.
I would just end that conversation with, by the way, there's still a murder in your town, and I. That's all I'll say.
Okay. And Sira would kind of like gesture to Valor and just kind of wait.
Well, I've been to see the Small King. He'll have some of his guard accompany us, but only if we pledge to solve the problem, not just break through.
What does that entail?
Find whatever's stirring up these creatures, find the source of these attacks, and put a stop to it.
That sounds terrible. Would it take us off the path?
Almost certainly.
I don't think after what we just saw we can justify going off the path. I can't, at least.
And Jarek?
No.
Rolling.
Something tells me we should do it.
What is that something? I really need to know what the something is, because everything in my body is telling me no.
As usual, we disagree, Thor.
Well, did none of you hear what that nightmare was saying?
No, JD, it sounded like...
What did it say?
It changed a little bit, but it was... I had it written down. And you will fall. I think. Is that about?
I'll let that thematically be filtered through Jarek.
Okay. I can't entirely imagine what that would be like, but if we are going to be going around in the dwarven underground, I do not want to fall.
What about you, Valorant?
Well, on the one hand, I do not prefer riding away from a challenge. On the other hand, it is time to go to folk.
Can I ask this? Did she say how many creatures would be over there? Have they had reports of like a dozen, 2 dozen?
Is this Jarek asking, or is this Seth asking?
If I didn't do my voice correctly, Jarek.
Okay. You're speaking common, so Sierra's kind of checked out because you guys are all speaking common at this point to keep Jarek in the loop.
I'll translate it for
Okay.
her.
She would like look over at Jarek. They say 20 more. She like turns to Valor, and there are attacks throughout the day, and then they disappear into the caves and come back out, and no more than 20 has been spotted at one time, but it's hard to tell.
Jarek, I'm not ashamed to say that I sympathize. That creature last night, I struck it. I struck it soundly. And wasn't enough.
I'm not unsympathetic to the people that live here, but if you think we can do it, that's one thing, but this is
Pause.
And play.
Go. Yeah.
So that was one thing, but then what?
so that's that it's one thing if we know we can win or have a chance. This is completely unknown.
Sierra kind of like nods in the background.
I mean, we didn't know about the shadow, and look what that did to us.
Sierra nods.
I'm not proud, but I... Go ahead.
Good.
I'm not proud, but I think I'm convinced.
That
we would be foolhardy to chase this down without knowing anything further.
because
Real deep.
sorry. I understand that we know, there is a problem. But what's at the root of the problem is the question. Because if these things are controlled by something, what is that something? And that's something we don't know.
That ahead of us, a shadow monster behind us. And back at the Pale Legion, they said that an entire alternate route was blocked because of mysterious circumstances that had disappeared a whole caravan. Something horrible is going on down here.
I agree it would be a good idea to provide a service for the people down here, but we could just do that on the way back. Would that be an option? We could just wait. We just wait it out. Come back to it later.
Did they end up saying where it was, on the road to West Point? They said they attacked the gates at West Point, correct?
No, at Corn Tombs. The town that you're in, their gates are being attacked periodically.
Oh, okay.
I'm inclined to tell the small king that we can't afford any more delay, and that we'll have to decline.
seems we've reached a decision then.
If we weren't on another mission, I'd be very up for it.
But as long as we're, we come back this way, we can help them then.
We'll have Legionnaires come deal with this at some point. Happy, I'm sorry, did I mean to interrupt?
Just said we'll add it to the list.
Damn. Then, I have to know though, are we going to take Adam's body with us?
Yes, we are taking Adam's body with us.
Yes, we are taking Adam's body with us.
Is it going to... I don't mean to be...
I imagine the question is, how long will Adam last? Rolly, you would understand, unless some magical voodoo shit's going on, you guys have, 2 weeks-ish?
Alright. 2 weeks to level 6.
Well, is there any more preparations that need doing before we depart?
I'll go give the news to Corntoon. Unless anyone has anything else to say.
Just tell them we're sorry, but can't afford more losses.
Very well. And I start heading that way.
And that is where we will end tonight's session.